favorite driver just like you're at the track. You get live stats, leaderboard, driver and team communications, and more on all of your devices. It's available now for an all-new low price when you visit NASCAR.com/RaceView. We are just moments away from going racing. So, Dale, who is your pick for today?
Well, yeah, I think the Cup drivers have a definite advantage, and the two Kyles are going to be tough to beat, and I'm going to go with Kyle Busch. They just have nothing to lose. They can let it all out there because there's no chase in the balance for them. That comes for Kyle Busch tomorrow.
So, Kyle Busch on the pole. Of the Chasers, who do you like?
Yeah, the Chasers, you have to look at Eric Jones. I think he learned a lot in those first 3 races, was lucky to get through there. Daniel Suarez is going to be right there. If we get a long green flag run, he's going to be right there in the mix. But I think Eric Jones is the driver that really has an opportunity to either win and move on to Miami or be the highest finisher of those chases.
And I think Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, such a great story because it's teacher and student.
Yeah.
You know, Eric Jones filled in for Kyle Busch here last year when Kyle Busch was still rehabbing that injury. So we'll have to see what happens. A new round, a new chapter await. Right now, it's time to fire the engines. Let's take you back down to the track for today's command.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome Wichita, Kansas native and 2016 USA Olympic boxing bronze medalist, Nico Hernandez.
Drivers, start your engines!
A bronze medalist in boxing who delivers the 1-2 punch today. For these drivers, their own medals await. It's now time to switch over to NBC. Rick Allen, Jeff Burton, and Steve Letarte take over as the race for the title drives through America's heartland. The round of 8 begins right now in Kansas.
Kansas Speedway this afternoon, it plays host to the first race of the round of 8 for the Xfinity Series, second round of the playoffs. The win this afternoon for one of 8 drivers would guarantee them a spot in the championship 4 and a chance at the Xfinity title in Miami.
Daniel Suarez, checkered flag, he wins at the Monster Mile. Really, this is what sports are all about.
Win and you advance.
Oh, ow!
Every position matters, every lap matters, every finish matters. Elliott Sadler will win and advance to the round of 8.
Awesome job, man. Awesome job.
Welcome to NASCAR Xfinity Series Racing on NBC. It's the Kansas Lottery 300 from Kansas Speedway. Let's take a look at the chase grid. After last week in Charlotte, there are now only 8 drivers who still have a chance at the championship. 4 races remain. A victory this afternoon by one of these drivers would ensure they will race for the title at season's end in Miami. Hello, everyone. Alongside Steve Letarte, Jeff Burton, I'm Rick Allen. Steve, I have to ask, is there a favorite of one of those 8 drivers for today's race?
Well, I think you have to look at the 2 Xfinity regulars that have already won a race in the playoffs. Elliott Sadler wins at Kentucky. Daniel Suarez wins at Dover. They proved an Xfinity regular can win in the playoffs, or perhaps Eric Jones, the winningest driver in the regular season with 4 wins. Will he win today and advance to the championship 4 at Miami?
Yeah, Steve, I think they're the obvious choices to contend for this championship, but somebody I've been watching is Blake Cook. I have been really impressed with this young driver, young race team. If any one of those favorites slips up a little bit, I think this team is getting better as the year goes on. They can take that spot and find themselves at Homestead racing for a championship.
Kyle Busch is in this race. He's the winningest driver ever in the Xfinity Series. How does that change the format for these guys that are fighting to get a spot in the championship 4?
Well, those races I mentioned, Kentucky and Dover, didn't have a lot of Sprint Cup regulars, but not only Kyle Busch, we have a handful in the field today. That includes Joey Logano's last week's winner at Charlotte. And how about Kyle Larson? He didn't win last week, but he almost lapped the entire field at one point during the race. So it's got to make the task tougher for the Xfinity regulars.
It's tougher as far as winning the race, but racing for points still matters. So you can't get caught up if you're not contending with Kyle Busch to win the race. You still have to compete against the other 7 guys that you're trying to advance into the championship round with.
Trying to have an opportunity to run for the championship. Leading the field to green is the 2016 Toyota Camry, the official pace car for today's race. And at the top of the screen, you will see the starting grid that will roll across the top. And that is the 40 drivers in the positions they will start in at the green flag for this race. Want to go to pit road and get some updates before the green flag flies. We go to Kelly Stavist.
Rick, Brendan Gaughan is one of 2 drivers over the age of 40 left in this chase, and while they haven't been the fastest car week to week, that experience seems to be paying off. Brendan telling me that they've been able to stay true to themselves and make the most of their opportunities. They didn't have a great qualifying and will start 18th, but they expect to have a better race car here once we go green. Dave Burns?
Kelly, it's going to be an interesting day for Darrell Wallace Jr., the 22-year-old Tennessee fan from Mobile, Alabama. He's got to focus on this race today. He's definitely taking on some number 1s in a race car that may not be able to win the race, but he's in the chase, and it's all about stacking up points any day he can. We'll keep an eye on the 6, Marty Snyder.
Dave talked to Justin Allgaier moments ago. He said no doubt there is pressure on the Xfinity Series regulars because we know a ticket to Miami can be punched today. He said the mile-and-a-half program for our 7 team has been one of the weakest parts of our program. We must learn something today if we want to win a championship in a couple of weeks. And there's a 2-week break for the Xfinity Series. After this race, he said you don't want to go into that break not having momentum. Mike?
Marty, the number 1 seed entering this chase was Eric Jones, but he got a wake-up call in the previous round. Nearly did not advance. Came through at Charlotte and did find his way into the round of 8. What they learned from that? Well, his crew chief, Chris Gabehart, told me moments ago not to make mistakes. Do not push for more than we can get in a race, and we'll be fine. He feels like this car has plenty of speed in it, and they will do the best they can to get as much out of it, but they're not going to take risks that could put them in jeopardy of not being one of those championship 4. He rolls off 2nd today, Rick.
Yeah, teammates will make up row number 1. Kyle Busch in the 18, Eric Jones in the 20. We're going to ride along with a few of the drivers, and Ryan Reed's going to carry one camera.
Yeah, he is going to carry the camera. He's got the Lilly Diabetes car, so Ryan Reed's going to give us some great shots today.
Yeah, we have Joe Logano starting in the 11th position with the Ford in-car camera.
Fortunate enough to be with Elliott Sadler also in the Sunoco with the Sunoco in-car camera.
And one of the Xfinity's regular favorites, Eric Jones, starting on the front row with the Toyota in-car camera.
Not only will we ride along with a few of the cars, we'll also have aerial coverage that's provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods. Looking down on this 1.5-mile track. I want to take a look at the race analysis. We're going to see speeds upwards of 190 miles an hour as they enter the turns here. It's a 200-lap race, 300 miles. Pit road speed 45 miles per hour. The fuel window, Steve, 55 to 60 laps.
And Rick, I believe that fuel window will come into play today. Goodyear has brought a very durable tire, and I think these teams are going to sometimes only change 2, perhaps no tires, push their Sunoco fuel tank right to the limits. We might even see teams try to run a bit farther than 60 laps.
Jeff Burton, you mentioned earlier that Blake Cook could be maybe the silent one that advances into the championship 4 out of this round of 8. We just listened into his radio, and this was the pep talk we heard.
It's been a fun weekend so far. You worked really hard, really hard to be where you're at. You do. I mean, we get to do what we love, so thank you. It's time to go get a touchdown, brother. We got 4 quarters. That's 4 races. We need a touchdown in every race, and we'll get to go for that trophy at the end. Have a nice day. See you in a little while. Step 4. Thank you, Ryan.
Now that's a great inspirational speech. The one thing that could be counting against them is they've never won in the Xfinity Series, so that's in the back of the mind, but they need to figure out how to get up front and contend for wins.
So they need to just stay in front of the guys they're competing against. That's what their ability to do is. I don't think they have the speed to go beat Kyle Busch and Eric Jones, but I think they have the speed to be in front of all those other chase guys.
The field now in the hands of the 18 of Kyle Busch. He has chosen the outside line. Green flag in the air. We're underway from Kansas.
Not get a good start at all. Had the benefit of the 7 car, Justin Allgaier pushing him, which kind of stopped the bleeding a little bit. If it hadn't been for that, he'd have lost a lot of spots.
They fanned out 3 wide, and they're still 3 wide as they go into turn 3. Eric Jones has dropped back, now fighting for the 3rd spot. Racing there with Austin Dillon in the 2. Still 2 wide now for the 6th position. Justin Allgaier's on the outside in the 7. But out front, Kyle Busch has taken the early lead. Daniel Suarez, who pushed him on the initial start, has moved up to 2nd in front of Austin Dillon. And now Eric Jones has moved in front of Austin Dillon to take 3rd away. Dillon drops back to 4th.
Yeah, and only 2 laps in, Rick. We're going to have to keep an eye on 3 cars that had issues at the beginning of this race. Had to go to the back. The 42 and 93 had to start at the tail of the field for unapproved adjustments. And the 48 of Brendan Poole had to start at the back for unapproved body modifications.
Indicator on the top of your screen. There'll be a yellow bar that will drop down below the names if they are in the round of 8. The 8 chase drivers that still have an opportunity to win the championship this season. As we see, the One Main Financial, number 1 of Elliott Sadler, was making his way by the 2. And Eric Jones has moved all the way up to 2nd now as he's been able to pass Daniel Suarez. As we look back on Daniel Suarez riding along with Eric Jones.
And Rick, Eric Jones really caught my attention in the first round, the round of 12 for the Xfinity Series. So many wins, probably the championship favorite, but really struggled with the approach of a 3-race round. It'll be interesting to see how much different his approach is here today.
You mentioned Kyle Larson having started in the back at the start of this race. Well, guess what? He's already up to 19th. So that is amazing. We're on lap 4. He's already picked up 20 spots, and there's about 5 in front of him that he could possibly get in the next few laps.
Brendan Poole's on the list as well, plus 14. He's just behind the 42 of Larson, his actually teammate, Ganassi teammate, to the 42.
Marty, little handling issue there for the 5 of Cole Custer, able to keep it straight. But Marty, more on the 42.
Almost into the wall there for Cole Custer. Ahead of him, Kyle Larson moving up through the field. When Kyle Larson was a young man in go-karts, he used to ask his dad if he could start at the back of the field. Why? Just so he could pass cars. So here he is doing it once again, starting at the back today. They changed the right side window in the 42 car and already moving up through the field. You can see up to 17th, now about to get 16th. And he loves to use the high line on the racetrack, which always makes it entertaining to watch, doesn't it, Rick?
Absolutely. But right now, that high line hasn't worked its way all the way to the wall. So we're seeing guys, and we just saw Cole Custer test that upper line and got a little bit loose up there in the marbles. Take a look back. This was about 2 laps ago when Cole Custer in the 5 got very loose up toward the wall.
He said got a little bit free before he got there. Then once he got there, he got in all that tire debris and got that much more loose. So nice job by Cole. See that wiggle right there? That made him not be able to turn the wheel, chase it up the racetrack, but didn't get in the wall. Nice recovery.
Brendan Gaughan in the 62. One of the 8 chase drivers still fighting for a shot at the championship. And Kyle Larson, a Sprint Cup regular, is able to duck down to the inside, try to take that position away, and will.
14th, by the way. And if you're Brendan Gaughan and you're a chase contender, you're a guy that has a chance to win this championship, and also Ryan Reed, you're seeing a guy that started in the back already catch you and already pass you. That has to emotionally bother you. Think how much faster he is than you. You started that much further ahead, and he's already passed you. Immediately, a little bit of worry. We've got to make our race cars better. We've got to get to work right now.
Well, as we go on board here with the Ford in-car of Joey Logano, this shows you just how many options there are here at Kansas to see out front. He has basically the Dillon brothers, Austin Dillon and Ty Dillon, as they go down into turn 1. The 22 of Joe Logano has to decide what lane he wants to run. He runs to the top of the racetrack. Austin Dillon in front of him, also the top. Ty Dillon in front of him at the middle, and Justin Allgaier way at the top of your screen, running the bottom. 4 completely different ways to go through turns 1 and 2. Early he lifts. You got to lift back up the corner entry real far to get into the top and not have that issue we saw with Cole Custer.
Driver the 88 this week, Regan Smith, another one of the Cup regulars, able to take advantage of that seat. The 18 of Kyle Busch out in front. 9 laps complete, 9 laps led by Kyle Busch, but Eric Jones closing the gap. Could he do it again and beat Kyle? Follow NASCAR on Snapchat for an all-access look at the sport. And welcome back to the Kansas Lottery 300. Kyle Busch still out front, but Eric Jones has closed the gap. He's under a half a second now behind the 18, and you notice the 2 distinctly different lines. Kyle Busch ran right up against the wall, and Eric Jones decided to run right on the white line at the bottom of the racetrack.
Kyle Busch goes to the bottom of the racetrack.
How much does the wind that's here at this racetrack affect the lines that these drivers will take?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing it does, it really affects your entry speed in a turn 3. You have to make sure you're not carrying too much speed. There's a tailwind down the back straightaway. That also affects your exit of turn 4. It makes the car not drive as well through the middle of 3 and 4, the exit of 4. On the opposite of that, you have a headwind up the front straightaway, so you drive in the corner a little bit deeper, and now you have the wind kind of pushing the car back into the racetrack. It actually drives better on the 1 and 2 end of the racetrack. So I'm not sure that it's a groove thing, but it certainly makes the car drive different from one end to the other.
So the 18 of Kyle Busch has led every lap, 16 that have been run. Mike?
Yeah, and he certainly knows what it is to have a fast race car. He's had many of them here at the Kansas Speedway before. In fact, if you look at his career as a whole, he's made over 300 starts in the Xfinity Series. So suffice to say, he knows what he likes to feel in the race car, and what he felt on the initial start of this race wasn't necessarily something he was expecting. So he reached out to his teammate Eric Jones to see if he was feeling the same thing.
After 20 of his car stumbled on the initial start, not front of tires, but stumbled.
Yep. Yeah, he said really bad. That's what happened.
Mine did it too. It'll be better on the next start because we'll be at pace start speedily higher.
And it was interesting to hear Kyle Busch say it's going to be better on the next start. That just speaks to his experience behind the wheel of this race car. As for what he's saying about the handling right now, he says it's pretty good, just a little bit snug. Rick?
Yeah, and surprising he can be so calm and talk about that in the middle of the race, looking back at that start.
Yeah, what surprised me or impressed me wasn't how calm he was, but the fact that he wanted to know about Eric Jones and wanted to give information to Eric Jones, trying to help his younger teammates who are running for a championship.
Another one running for a championship. Ryan Reed looks like he's having a little more difficulty back there in 24th, Kelly.
Yeah, he was the slowest of the 8 chase drivers in qualifying. They knew they'd have their work cut out for him, but listen to this just moments ago. It sounds like trouble could be even bigger.
We're pulling up here, guys.
Gauges, what you got?
Pressure's good. Oil temperature's good. Water temp's good. Bolts are good. Water pressure's good. Might just be a plug wire or something.
So you heard him start by saying you think they're blowing up, and Steve, they're saying must just be a plug wire, but how concerning is that?
Well, it's concerning because they're assuming it could be a plug wire just because the gauges are good, but there are other internal issues an engine could have that would cost power, which is what you have to assume Ryan Reed's discussing as the car out front pulls away down the straightaway. Yes, it can be a plug wire, but Jeff, it just seems like history says it's normally something a little more serious.
Yeah, we're fortunate enough to have the Lilly Diabetes in-car camera, so let's just ride along and take a listen and see if we can hear anything. Hear that mist? That sounds like something's crackling. That's just the motor not running cleanly. Also, look at the RPMs, not many RPMs. The speed's way down on the straightaway, so certainly some sort of an engine issue. And the biggest issue they have coming is the 18 car, Kyle Busch, is right behind them. So they're going to get a lap down. That's something they get really, really lucky. You can see, look at the straightaway speed. Look at the difference.
Yeah, just not carrying as much straightaway speed. It was interesting. We could watch the RPMs as he went into turn 1. Way lower than when he went into turn 3. He had the wind behind him going into 3.
Yeah, watch this right here as the Ray Black pulls up in front of him. But look, watch what happens down the straightaway. He just drives away from him down the straightaway. So Ryan Reed's car is probably better in the corner. You see him catch him in the corner. He's in the gas, making up all this ground coming off the corner. Now they start to equal out, and now Ray Black just drives away.
The 22 of Joey Logano and the 2 of Austin Dillon have had a heck of a battle, and I'm going to tell you, it's not just between them, but look at the chaos out in front of them. 2, 3 wide as they lap cars. A lap ago, the 22 was on the apron in the backstretch trying to find room. Here they're going to go 3 wide. Joey Logano's kind of split the middle and then slide up in front of the 2 of Austin Dillon. And the reason they're making these big daring moves is because right out of the rearview mirror, the 88 of Regan Smith is coming, and oh, by the way, right behind him, Kyle Larson, the car that started rear of the field all the way up to the 10th position.
Yeah, Kyle Larson has really been impressive. After starting at the back, he's made it up into the top 10. He did that on lap 17. So Kyle Larson running 10th right now. And the 19 of Daniel Suarez currently 3rd, Marty.
Another potential chaser problem, Rick. Daniel Suarez in 3rd right now, driving for Joe Gibbs. And he said he heard something in the transmission area in the car. He said it sounded like a pop. Then he waited about 3 laps, said the pop just happened again. Then he came on, he said, guys, something's wrong with this thing. It's popping in the gear area or in the transmission area. Here's something inside the car. So far, the speed really hasn't fallen off of the 19, but he suspects something might be going wrong.
Well, the concern you have there, Rick, is perhaps there's something going wrong that isn't going to affect high gear, 4th gear, which is what Daniel Suarez is currently riding around in. But the first caution, the first pit stop, the first restart, Jeff, when he reaches down and goes up through the gears, you never know what could have gone. It could be internal in the transmission. It could just be the linkage on the shifter. But either of those is going to hamper his efforts.
So lap 26, the beginning of this round, we have 2 cars already talking about having issues that are chase contenders. So this is how difficult it is to get through these races without having mechanical issues, wrecks, those kind of things. That's why everybody is so on edge.
Daniel Suarez running in 4th gear, currently still in the 3rd position. How about Joey Logano and the moves he has been making? 4 wide to take the position. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by XFINITY. Change the way you experience TV with XFINITY X1. And by Toyota. Let's go places. Mike, what's happening with the 20 team?
Well, the 20 team being a little cautious, perhaps because of what they had learned earlier in the chase so far. Chris Gabart told me this afternoon that they need to execute, and Eric needs to bring the car home in one piece. That's their main goal here in this round. They weren't able to necessarily do that in the round of 12. So here's what they talked about on the radio just moments ago.
It's too loose to be aggressive around traffic and really even by myself. I'd say 3-4 numbers. I mean, we can't go too far, you know, we can't be plowing, but it's just got to be more secure so I can be more aggressive.
So they know what they can get out of the race car and what they cannot get out of the race car. This team just not willing to push it beyond its limits, trying to settle what it's allowing them to have here in this first race in the round of 8. Rick?
Yeah, and Eric Jones was able to close the gap between he and Kyle Busch to about a half a second. Well, now Kyle Busch is checked out on the rest of the field. He has already lapped up to the 18th car, so 17 cars on the lead lap. J.J. Yaley is about to go a lap down, but Kyle Busch has a 3.5 second lead over Eric Jones as we ride along with Joey Logano trying to reel in Elliott Sadler.
And Eric Jones talked about being loose, meaning the rear of the car just isn't stuck the way he wants it to be. And the reason that's so important with these cars in particular is that they are a little bit underpowered. You have to be able to roll the corner in the throttle a great deal of the time. When you're free, you just can't be in that throttle like you need to be. And the 2 cars on pit road.
Yeah, a little bit early, right, Steve?
Yeah, really early, only 34 laps in. We know they can run 55 or 60 laps, so the 2 must have some sort of issue to be on pit road this early. Mike?
Yeah, that issue, Steve, is a vibration that Austin Dillon was feeling, so they brought him down pit road as a precautionary measure, making sure that they don't have a loose wheel that can create additional problems. A chassis adjustment, a 4-tire change also for the 2 car as they attend to that vibration, trying to make sure they've got a little bit of a stall here. That'll cost them some time and some track position for sure. Finally, they'll refired and pushed off pit road.
And that's even more frustrating for the team because they haven't done a pit stop yet. So if there was a loose wheel on the 2, it was loose from the garage area. We'll just have to see after they take the wheels off and look at the tires and wheels if anything showed to be loose.
And remember, yesterday in practice, this team talked about a vibration. They had an issue where he thought he had a flat tire and actually pitted, came in and wasn't a flat tire. So I wonder if somehow that's related.
Right. Amazingly enough, Austin Dillon's worst ever finish on a 1.5-mile track, and by the way, he is a champion in the Xfinity Series, is 16th. And that actually happened last year at this very racetrack. So Austin Dillon, once again, with some issues that have brought him to pit road a little bit earlier than what would be expected. The pit window, again, between 55 and 60 laps. There was a couple of pace laps earlier that might bring them a little bit earlier, but definitely not in the 35 lap range. Still out front, Kyle Busch has about a 3.5-second lead over Eric Jones. Once again, I mentioned the pace that Kyle Busch is setting. He now has all but 14 drivers on the lead lap, and Matt DiBenedetto is the first car a lap down, running 15th.
These two cars find each other every race. It seems like their teammates, seems like they run about the same. The one of Elliott Sadler gets a little better finishes at the end of the day, but they run it very, very similar on the racetrack. Once again today, they're running right there together.
Elliott had the advantage a few laps ago, Jeff, but Justin Allgaier got by him. Then Justin talked about moving up the track a little bit to save his right front tire. Felt like he might be abusing it just a little bit. Elliott now has gathered his car back together, said he needs some front grip in the center of the corner, but it's a good fight among teammates right now and chase contenders.
We talk about chase cars, the chase cars trying to make something of the day. Well, the 62 of Brendan Gaughan only running 14th, not bad. He's the next car to be lapped by the 18 of Kyle Busch.
NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR, and by Ford. We go further so you can. Watch the chase for the NASCAR Xfinity Series Championship with the NBC Sports app. Get closer with additional camera angles, driver stats, and track information. You can watch live anywhere on any device. Find out more at NBCSports.com/live. Marty.
Been tracking the problems for Daniel Suarez, a chaser right now running in third. He said the car sounds like it has a popping noise coming from the transmission area, perhaps the gear area, what he's been hearing. They asked him, Scott Graves' crew chief asked, is it on deceleration? Is it on acceleration? When do you hear the noise? Suarez said, I hear it all the time, and when it happens, it seems like the rear end of the car wants to kind of jump out from me. Happening all over the racetrack. Now, Steve, is that crew chief talk for the driver? Hey, don't worry about it, we're all good? Or what, Kelly?
Green flag pit stops underway. This is Brendan Gaughan, who says that he's just been too tight behind cars, and the rear of the car, though, is getting loose off the turns. There was a chassis adjustment, 4 tires for the 62.
So, Rick, we go back to the question that Marty posed on the 19. I mean, it sounds to me like it's a driveline issue, perhaps in the gear, but I think that's code for we know what it is, and don't worry about it might mean, listen, we can't fix it, so there's no reason to keep talking about it. It's good information, but at some point you just have to live with what you have, and that's what it sounds like the issue on the 19. We'll just have to see, because we're not even 25% through this race, so if it's already creating an issue that Daniel feels strongly enough to talk about on the radio, it could get more severe.
We would expect green flag pit stops to be starting very soon, and it looks as though the 11 of Blake Cook chose this lap to come onto pit road after we just saw the 62 of Brendan Gaughan on pit road. Marty.
Running well within the top 15 so far for Blake Cook. Planned to come early inside of their window, Rick, because he said he had a vibration for a lot of that run. Chris Rice said, a lot of teams have been complaining about that. You saw the wet adjustment, trying to tighten up this race car for Blake Cook, who's been loose, trying to get those 4 fresh Goodyears on to hopefully get rid of that vibration he had as well.
Well, that's interesting. We've had 2 of the earliest pit stops have come from guys that are chase contenders. Brendan Gaughan had already gotten a lap down. He pitted, and Blake Cook, he was still on the lead lap. Kyle Busch had not caught him yet. So 2 guys pitting early. Caution comes out at the wrong time. It could trap him a lap down.
Yeah, the concern I have is Kyle Busch is almost a 6-second lead. So I don't think he is too concerned about getting to pit road right away. He can actually run a few extra laps and try to control the tempo of the race.
He has definitely set the pace of this race as he's been able to stay out front all 49 laps. Mike.
Ty Dillon getting set to make his first pit stop of the day. He was eliminated from the chase a week ago. However, he feels like he has the capability throughout the course of the remainder of this year to get to victory lane, trying to do it today. The entry has been a little bit loose for him on both sets of corners. They're going to make a 4-tire change and a track bar adjustment, Dave.
Brendan Poole pretty happy with his 48 car from 38th starting position to 12th on the racetrack. Just a slight air pressure adjustment as he now leaves pit road. 4 Goodyear tires and full of Sunoco fuel.
Green flag pit stops definitely starting to cycle through. Dave.
Fairly comfortable run so far for Elliott Sadler, although he says it's a little tight to the center of the corner. He'll get an adjustment from his crew on that. 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel for Sadler. Mike?
Eric Jones on pit road now has been running inside the top 2 all afternoon long. Only thing he has said is the car is a little bit too loose to get aggressive. They're going to try to tighten him up with a track bar adjustment, a 4-tire change, and air pressure. Marty?
Kyle Larson had made it from last up to 6th, and they actually missed the call to come to pit road on the last time. He said the car started free, swung to the tight side, a wedge adjustment, trying to free up that 42 car, Mike.
Kyle Busch started on the pole and has stayed out front throughout the course of this race so far. Has said the car has been a little bit snug, but otherwise real good. 4 tires, air pressure, and fuel for Kyle Busch, Dave.
Justin Allgaier said his car was tight everywhere, but free in and off of the corner when he ran up in the top groove. He'll get adjustments for that. He's off of pit road, Marty.
The Charlotte winner, Joey Logano, on pit road. He won in the 12 car last week, Dave. He's in the 22 car this week. He said the car started a little bit too free and swung to the tight side. No front turn on that through that run for Joey Logano. Wedge adjustment, trying to free that car up just a little bit. Daniel Suarez finally concentrating on the handling of his race car. Comes to pit road in third. He said it was tight on exit. Needs to turn a little bit better from the center of the corner off. Air pressure and that track bar adjustment, trying to free that car up for Daniel Suarez. 4 fresh Goodyear tires, and that popping noise
still present there in the 19 car.
Yeah, I was watching intently right there, Marty, to see the 19 leave its pit box. It seemed to accelerate good when they had dropped the jack, so whatever the issue they have didn't hinder his in and out of the pit box at all.
Getting up through the gears, he'll get back up into fourth gear. He was able to lead 2 laps through this green flag pit stop cycle. And after everyone has cycled through, Kyle Busch scored the race leader once again. And now with only 5 cars on the lead lap. So Kyle Busch setting a blistering pace as they continue to go through. A couple more will get back on the lead lap. Busch out front at Kansas. First caution of the day has come out. The 16 of Ryan Reed. It looks as though the engine has expired. He mentioned that he didn't think it was running right. And as he went by, Jeff, you actually heard the engine go on him. So we'll see what happens. What are they putting into the...
Well, you see this gentleman right here is putting fuel. That squeeze bottle is fuel. They're filling up the carburetor with fuel to try to get the car to restart, Kelly.
Yeah, they're trying to get some fuel pressure. We couldn't tell if they ran out of fuel, but we heard his crew chief just call for him to come down to pit road, get fuel and tires, and get this thing refired. But they're still trying to recycle that engine until they can get some fuel pressure. So they don't think their day is done just yet.
So what they're doing right here is basically, here's what happens. When they run out of fuel, the 16 of Ryan Reed had yet to pit. So he's on the racetrack under green, it runs out of gas. He coasts to pit road. But remember, these cars have carburetors. Unlike the Sprint Cup cars, you have to fill the carburetor with fuel, get the engine to run, and then sit in your pit box and let it run long enough to pick fuel up from the fuel cell and get fuel pressure. Well done there by the 16, but running out of gas has cost Ryan Reed at least 1 lap, although it still doesn't sound very good leaving pit road.
Still in trouble. Had he not sat there and gotten the car run, make it run for 4 or 5 seconds, when he went to leave his pit box, it just would have stalled. So with a carbureted car, you have to have the patience to do that. But you can hear, when he came by, I heard it was so bad, and then it ran out of fuel. I thought it blew up, but you can hear how sick that engine is.
Yeah, so we have a replay. Let's go inside with the 16 and listen.
So, coming outside.
Yeah, ran out at the perfectly wrong place, of course. You know, he's coming off turn 4. It starts to run out. He has to keep going. There's no way he can make pit road. So tough break when it ran out, but you could hear how it just shut off, it's take back off, shut off, take back off. But that wasn't the reason for the caution. The reason for the caution is right here.
Matt Waltz in the 97, the smoke starts rolling out from underneath the hood, and you see it coming out of the left wheel well there. So the 16, and Steve, I'll ask you, is this an opportunity for them to come to pit road and maybe check the cylinders to see if they have a plug wire that's off?
Well, I think I would absolutely come to pit road and use this to try to find the issue. The day isn't getting any better. They're currently 2 laps down, running out of fuel hurt. So I think they need to come to pit road. The question for me would be Daniel Suarez all the way up in third. We've heard about this vibration and or popping. Do they come to pit road and work on anything? It's much harder to come from third than it is for Ryan Reed back in the 26th position.
Yeah, they can come in, look, see if there's a plug wire off. If that is the problem, they'll certainly probably do that. But then somebody that this caution helped was Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon had to pit earlier. That caution came out, got him back in sequence. Now he's still behind because of limited tires in the Xfinity Series. Maybe he can't come in and put on tires, but at least he's on somewhat of the same sequence. Maybe he just comes on and does fuel. Remember, there's only 12 cars on the lead lap, so he could come and just do fuel, save his tires, but get himself somewhat back in sequence.
Hey, one thing that caught my eye on that replay of Ryan Reed is if you go inside to his car, you can see all the gauges on the dash. Well, back on the replay, when you're over the shoulder looking forward, so he runs forward and is starting to run out of gas. Well, look in this area right here. The gauge starts to flash blue right there. That seems like it could be a warning issue. You know, the rest of the gauges aren't flashing. That gauge is blue, so if that's the fuel pressure gauge, that could be a low fuel pressure warning. It starts to say, hey, listen, something's wrong, and the thing runs out of gas. Kelly?
And so you can see that they've brought him back down pit road. Phil Gould convinced that they must have a bad plug, so they're trying to get it fixed and trying to stay positive, telling Ryan, hey, we're going to get this thing fixed up. You'll be just fine. We'll get you back out there.
So this is definitely difficult for Ryan Reed, one of the chase drivers, one of the 8 that's trying to advance into the championship 4.
Fire it up!
They're asking him to fire it back up. Free pass going to the 48 of Brennan Poole.
That doesn't sound very good, though, does it?
No.
Ryan Sieg in the 39 stopped on the track. Ryan Sieg was initially a part of the chase, was eliminated after the round of 12. And now Ryan Sieg stopped on the apron right in front of the grandstands. He is just past the start-finish line. And they're not going to be able to restart the race, so you guys staying out on the track, we'll take a quick break and be right back. Windy day to be a spotter. They're up on top of the press box. This spotter coverage brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping drivers worry less on the track and on the road.
And we love this multi-groove racing, but that makes the spotter's job much harder, Jeff. When you're running the middle or the bottom and the car behind you is running the top, it's very important information to know that guy has a run, has more speed off the corner.
I think that's the key. Once a car gets there, the driver knows he's there, but when the spotter can see a run coming and let the driver know, hey, a run's coming to the outside or coming to the bottom. And also today is tough conditions for him. It's very windy. It's cold, windy, so tough conditions for the spotters.
I want to take a look at this week's Ford Drive to the Championship. As we look at the chase standings, again, the cutoff line will be 4 drivers. 4 drivers, when they go to Miami, will have a fight on their hands for the championship. The 4 that are able to advance, the one who finishes in front of the other 3, will be the 2016 Xfinity Series champion. A lap has been added. Next time when they come back by, we'll go back to green flag racing. Welcome back to Kansas Speedway, the Kansas Lottery 300 for the Xfinity Series. It's the first race of the round of 8. We were just listening in to the 19 of Daniel Suarez and their team communications.
Hey, Coach, the 18 is doing something different than what I'm doing. It's some really good time around the very top at 3 and 4, and then he'll run the bottom in 1 and 2 most of the time. Every once in a while, he'll run the top down there or the middle when he's trying to work traffic. But he runs the top up there in 3 and 4 more so.
That was spotter coverage presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping drivers worry less.
Yeah, quick hit update. Austin Dillon, Brandon Jones, and Blake Cook all pitted on that pit stop and did 4 tires.
Up front, Kyle Busch has chosen the outside line once again for this restart, and Eric Jones will be on the inside. They enter the restart zone, and we're back to racing.
Kyle Busch was looking to get to the bottom lane, but Eric Jones, I was 4 wide behind them getting into turn 1. I was going to say Eric Jones actually got out of the restart zone very good. Actually takes the lead from Kyle Busch.
Yes, Suarez was pushing him and got him beside Kyle Busch. Kyle saw him coming and went to turn and try to block him, but he was too late in trying to get that block done.
3 wide as they go into turn number 3. And it's now the 20 of Eric Jones, one of the chasers. One of the most impressive this year with 4 wins already on the season, is out in front of Kyle Busch. Daniel Suarez, Kyle Larson up in the top 4.
And the farthest we've seen Kyle Larson up, had to start at the rear of the field. Came through up to the top 10 pretty easily, but this is the farthest we've seen him today in the 4th position.
Something tells me he'll be all against that wall.
Kyle Larson, one that we have seen run the high line at virtually every racetrack. As here comes Kyle Busch. Looked at the outside of the 20 of Eric Jones, couldn't make the move.
So if you're Eric Jones right now, what do? Do you go to the bottom or do you go to the top? You just saw Kyle Busch go to the top. Eric Jones chooses the bottom.
Kyle was running about a half a lane higher as they entered the turn, and now exiting 2 and down the backstretch, he stays right in his tire tracks. What will he do in 3 and 4? Still about a half a lane higher, and momentum as he gets on the high side for the lead. Kyle Busch. See if he'll make the pass on Eric Jones. And around goes the 5. Cole Custer into the grass.
Like no damage to the front, though. We saw in Cup practice when Kurt Busch got in the grass, it just really damaged the front end. But I don't see much damage. A little bit of grill damage, maybe, but other than that, that's all I see.
Just get caught up when you can.
He was running 16th, a lap down. So Cole Custer brings out the second caution. That was exiting turn 4 and coming into the tri-oval here at Kansas.
Comes up, tries to change lanes, tries to come up in front of the 14 of Matt DiBenedetto, and there just wasn't room. I mean, Matt was in the gas wide open. The 5 really, I mean, that's just, I think, a mistake by a young driver. I don't think that hole is real. I don't think that hole is there. It's barely the size for one car. I think it was just a poor decision to come up.
We had just shown the spotters.
And right there, sorry, but see right there where the splitter got into the grass? Right. Lucky was going sideways and kind of skirting across the grass rather than going straight on at it and digging in and just tearing the nose up.
I had mentioned the spotters. They're really coming at the spotters. When they come out of turn number 4, they're coming right at them. Is that a difficult situation for a spotter to clear a driver?
I don't think so. I think the spotters here are more than high enough. They're looking down on the race cars. That, to me, seems to be pretty clear. Without listening to the radio, I'm not sure what the information he was given, but Eddie DeHunt, I believe, is spotting for this 5 car, and Cole Custer, very veteran spotter on top of the roof. And I just think that's an area that a young driver needs to understand there's a spot there. We just saw a minute ago, Eric Jones and Kyle Busch were in the same situation for the lead. Eric Jones was clear of Kyle Busch. He just chose not to come up. He knew Kyle Busch had a run, and I think that was basically the same situation for Cole Custer.
And really, when you spin out, the spotter's not in there with you. There's only one driver. Right. The spotter calls the best he can see, but it's up to the driver to make the right decision. So we don't know that the spotter called it clear. We're not saying that he did, but really there's only one race car driver. The driver's got to make the decision, not the spotter.
Well, an exit of turn 4 is just difficult for the spotters, probably a little bit, but definitely the race car drivers. Watch the 42 of Kyle Larson right here as he pushes up almost to the bumper of the 19. He has to get a handful of wheel and get out of the gas right there, and that's why you see instantly the 1 at Elliott Sadler gets a big run on him. But watch this, from on board of Elliott Sadler, look, you see the 42 gets up the racetrack, has to just breathe the gas, and look how much speed it costs him down the front stretch.
Clear low, all clear.
And look at these restarts. These restarts are crazy. You see the 18 get a good jump right here, but the 1 car pushing the 19. Now the 19's pushing the 20. That drives the 20 up on the side of Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch couldn't block. Now they're 4 wide behind him, so a lot of spots to get on the restarts. You have to be aggressive, and that's what all the drivers are doing.
You watch Kyle Larson. This is on board with Joey Logano. Watch Kyle Larson make the move to the middle right here. When they go 3 wide, he decides to make it 4 wide. He hangs a right, fills this hole right here, gains 3 positions entering turn 1 on the restart.
Big restart for Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, and Eric Jones fighting for that number 1 spot. Pit road is open. Now the 6 is going to get the free pass. So Darrell Wallace Jr., one of the chase competitors, will get a lap back. So he gets his lap back. He'll be on the lead lap. That will put 14 cars on the lead lap unless someone wants to do a wave around.
Well, I don't think many are going to have the opportunities to wave around because the leaders are going to stay out and not come to pit road. It looks to me like the Dillon brothers, the 3 and the 2 of Ty and Austin Dillon, will be the first 2 cars to pit.
Kelly.
The 6 of Bubba Wallace comes to pit road. They said, hey, we've only got 7 laps on these tires, so we're not going to waste a set, but we'll come in and top you off with fuel. It was a bit of a chassis adjustment as well. Also, Brendan Gaughan taking the opportunity to come to pit road. They will put fresh Goodyear tires on his car and make a chassis adjustment as well, Marty.
Chris Rice made the call for Blake Cook to come in. You saw how quick that stop was, 6.3 seconds, because it was fuel only for the 11, doing the exact opposite of what the leaders did, playing a little strategy on that 11 team.
And currently, Blake Cook is 5th of the chase drivers. Kyle Busch out front. Let's check out the Toyota Camry on-track car, guys.
We've heard a lot about shifter issues with Daniel Suarez and hadn't had any issues yet, but if he does have an issue, the only thing the team can do if it starts jumping out of gear is right here. He can have it in 4th gear, and there can be a cord inside the car, essentially a bungee cord. Put it around the shifter, hold the thing in 4th gear to keep it from jumping out of gear, to keep the engine from over-revving and blowing the engine up.
And Jeff, how did that car handle? You were driving that earlier today.
Great.
A lot of fun, I'm sure, to get back out on the track. As we get ready for the restart, Kyle Busch on the outside, Eric Jones on the inside. They enter the restart zone. Green flag back in the air.
The one car immediately pushing.
And will Elliott Sadler take advantage of pushing that 18 into the lead? Can he get by the 20 of Eric Jones? Those two fighting for second now as they go down the backstretch.
You see the yellow car of Kyle Larson climb the bank. He was stuck on the bottom at 1 and 2. Couldn't make any ground. He tried to climb the bank at 3 and 4, but really couldn't get a lot of momentum there.
Elliott Sadler as high up today as he has been, running second to Kyle Busch. Now looking on that high line. Kyle Busch, Elliott Sadler, Eric Jones, Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, the top 5.
Kyle Larson had a big moment off turn 2. Look at the momentum lost and all the positions down the backstretch.
Running up in that high line. You get a little loose, you've got to get out of the gas quickly, and he did that and lost a lot of momentum. He was running 6th. Now has dropped all the way down to 9th, lost 3 spots there.
It shows you the difference in cars. As he had to start in the back, he passed those cars to get up to the front, but now that he's gotten up here, it has become much more difficult to get by. Big aggressive move, barely clear the nose of the 7th car.
What a move by Kyle Larson.
He's trying to recover from right here. You see him on the bottom of the racetrack. Looks like he might touch the apron and then just get free. Walks it up. Finally runs out of racetrack. Has to get out of the gas. And you see how quickly these Xfinity cars, it's hard to explain. It's not like Talladega and Daytona as far as restrictor plate racing.
Oh, around goes Cole Custer again.
Custer again through the grass.
Damage this time.
A lot more damage to the front end of the 5. The last time was some contact made between Cole and Matt DiBenedetto. We'll see if this was contact again.
Point killed now.
He was running 18th, still a lap down. And you see all the damage to the left front of that number 5.
You see he comes up the racetrack. Couldn't tell before. I assume he hit him.
How car could he have hit him? They were going down the straightaway. That was really odd looking.
Yeah, Ross Chastain in the 4, taking a look.
I just caught him in the left rear, I guess.
The front stretch is difficult today for Cole Custer.
You go right here. He's on the left rear. Had he hit him right in the rear bumper, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But when you hit him in the left rear quarter panel, it just spun him out on the front straightaway.
Yeah, I don't know if Cole was actually breathing a little bit as he caught the 41, but it definitely seemed to be contact.
Maybe try to save that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Cole. I mean, to get contact that turns you around on the straightaway is frustrating. Very frustrating.
Yeah, I think I can't believe he would have been breathing. I think he was wide open in the throttle and just, Chastain had a little bit of a run on him, a little bit of draft in these Xfinity cars, pulled up on him, and you can see really no damage on the left rear quarter panel, but the car's a little light right there going through the travel and just spun him out.
They serve the city together, but this Tuesday, will one of their own lose the fight? The new powerful Chicago Fire, Tuesday, 10/9 Central on NBC. Guessing Cole Custer will have a little bit of a fire burning inside of him after twice now contact has put him into the grass. There's part of Cole Custer's number 5 in the infield grass. A frustrating day already and only 78 laps into this 200-lap race.
Such an odd-looking wreck. You don't normally see somebody spinning on the front straightaway. And again, there wasn't heavy contact, but when you get somebody in the left rear quarter panel, there's a little bit of a turn on the front straightaway. You turn in the wheel just a little bit. Left rear of the car is light. Just a little bit of a nudge just spun him around.
Daniel Suarez, we have heard him mentioned on the radio and talking to his team, heard a little bit of a pop, he thought, in the drivetrain. Suarez currently running 5th of the chase contenders. Elliott Sadler is 2nd, Eric Jones 3rd, Daniel Suarez is 5th, Justin Allgaier is 8th. Those are the top 4 right now.
And this is where, if you were Ty Dillon, Austin Dillon, Blake Cook, this is where you're hoping that Kyle Busch, Elliott Sadler, Eric Jones, all these leaders will pit. Because you've pitted earlier, you've put on fuel, you've done all those things, doing something different than what the leaders did. Now to make that work, you need them to do something that you're getting ready to do. They're going to stay out, but you hope they pit right here. They're probably not going to, but that's what you're hoping for.
And they're making their way past. Kyle Larson's going to come to pit road. And with a lot of cars coming at you, we'll go to Marty.
Kyle Larson coming down pit road right now. He said the car is just a little bit too tight to start the run. They're going to plan on a wedge adjustment here, trying to free that 42 car up. Clearly a lot of speed. They've come from the back to the front in the 5 and then up to the top 5 for that 42 car. Also coming down pit road, Blake Cook right now leaving pit road. Chris Rice calling the different strategy than all the other leaders. They've been on that opposite strategy all day long for that 11 team in the chase, Rick.
A little bit dicey between Blake Cook and the 93 of David Starr. No contact. I mentioned the close call. Let's take a look at Blake Cook coming off of pit road.
Very close call. You see car coming into his pits. Blake Cook had to make a hard right to keep from making contact, but there was a car on the outside of him at the same time. So right here he makes the decision to move right, and there's Regan Smith. So Regan did a nice job of checking up to avoid contact.
Let's listen in to the radio communication just after that.
Took my nose off. Yeah, I should have told you go ahead and block him on the way out of here, but I just want to turn the right rear quarter off.
Pretty interesting strategy with the 11 car. We talked about the fact that he had been doing the opposite of the leaders, and he was sitting there, and I was thinking he would have stayed out and pitted, but Steve, he decided to pit.
Marty.
Just asked Chris Rice exactly why they decided to pit. He said, hey, I've got 15 laps on the leaders now, and hopefully I can trap them down. He said that happened to us at Dover. We got in a good position by doing this. So kind of doing the opposite strategy, and once he committed to it, he felt like he needed to stick with it. That's why he pitted when the leaders did not, Kelly.
And the 6 of Bubba Wallace also came down to pit road the last 2 times actually under caution. Remember, the first time they did not take tires, so this time he got 4 fresh Goodyear tires on. They also made a chassis adjustment because he's been a little bit too tight on exit. And also an update on the 16 of Ryan Reed. The team confirming that they did find a plug wire that had come loose, and they reattached it. They think they've got it fixed now. They have been bringing him down pit road simply to top him off with fuel.
So basically what Marty was reporting there is the difference in strategies. You see right here, there's a cut line between 7th and 8th. The top 7 all have between 15 and 10 laps of fuel burned off, depending on when they came. Brendan Poole at lap 62. But then the 3, the 11, the 33, and all back all came at lap 79. So they have more fuel. It really all comes down now to what length of green flag run we're going to have. A long run here, Rick, and the leaders will have to come to pit road much earlier than some other cars on the lead lap.
And Blake Cook gave up 2 positions. Had he stayed out, he would have restarted 7th. Instead, he's restarted 9th, but he has that extra fuel.
Kyle Busch, once again, has chosen the outside line. This time it's Elliott Sadler on the inside.
Kyle Busch has the ability to wait all the way to the last line of the restart box, and he did it that time. It was kind of a slow restart. Elliott Sadler did time it well, but I think the Joey Logano push is going to get Kyle Busch out to the lead.
Here comes Elliott Sadler looking to the inside. Joey Logano still right behind that 18 as Kyle Larson once again does the unconventional. How about this? Elliott Sadler in front of the 18. Will the momentum get the 18 back by? Kyle Busch leads that lap. Driving it hard into turn 1. Elliott Sadler's not going to be able to hang on to the lead, and so the 18 will use the momentum on the high line, and he is back out front. Kyle Busch, Elliott Sadler, Joey Logano, Eric Jones, and Ty Dillon the top 5.
Look at the 42 car. He made a big move off turn 2 on the outside of the 3 and the 7. Now he's making another move on the outside of Joey Logano for 4th.
Yeah, he loves the top of the racetrack, even right after a restart.
Kyle Larson utilizing that high line where no one else is running at this time. And so he's taking advantage of it, and he's got a huge momentum now on Eric Jones.
That's the advantage. I think really in the Xfinity Series, it's almost more valuable than the Sprint Cup Series because of the restricted engine power. The 42 can get on the gas so much earlier. He just looks like he shot out of a rocket on corner exit.
The other advantage he has is Eric Jones is sitting there racing for points. And he thought the 42 may have been on the outside, so he didn't even try to block him. He doesn't have the ability to do that. If Kyle Larson gets in the wall, no big deal. He's racing tomorrow. This could be Eric Jones' year. So Eric Jones, Elliott Sadler, Justin Allgaier, they can't be as aggressive as what we've seen Kyle Larson be.
The other advantage he has, guys, he just pitted a moment ago. Remember that? They pitted on lap 79, so he has tires that are almost 30 laps fresher than some of these guys around him that he's racing, so he can run that high line, kind of put that 42 car wherever he wants. Now he's going for 2nd, Rick.
And he's got the momentum once again as he looked high, but Elliott Sadler came up and around goes the 07. Ray Black Jr.
We need 4 tires. Just lock it down, lock it down.
It looks as though it's going to be a one-car incident. Ray Black Jr. spinning around. Brendan Gaughan was trapped a lap down, one of the chase drivers. We'll see if he is eligible for the free pass. On the inside, that 07.
Oh, just touched the apron just a little bit. That got him a little bit loose. That 86 on the outside of Brandon Brown, that was taking a little bit air off his spoiler as well. But it looked like to me the 07 got right on the apron, and that started the incident.
And we saw the 86 actually go all the way up to the wall and maybe make a little contact with the wall there. That was Brandon Brown in the 86. The free pass is going to go to the 62 of Brendan Gaughan.
Okay, something else that's happening with all these cautions, now that Brendan Gaughan's going to get his lap back, there'll be 3 cars that are 1 lap down. If we can continue to have these cautions, Ryan Reed potentially could get back in the position to start getting laps back. It's going to take a lot of cautions and quick cautions for that to happen, but that is a possibility.
The other thing we're going to have is decision time for Kyle Busch,
right?
Elliott Sadler, Eric Jones, Justin Allgaier, Joey Logano, the drivers that we mentioned before this last restart that, I think the tires are still fresh enough. I don't think they have a concern about tires, but now Kyle Busch has run 19 laps under green, 17 under yellow, so that's about 25, 27 laps worth of fuel the way it's calculated with greens and yellows that he is behind on compared to third place running Kyle Larson. So Kyle Busch knows if he pits, there's going to be 8 or 10 cars that don't pit, but at some point, you just have to understand you kind of guessed wrong. The cautions continue to come, and I think this is the time for the 18 and the 1. I think we're going to see them both come to pit road right here.
They're making the hard left turn, and sure enough, lead lap cars on their way, and quite a few are following them. That's a little bit surprising. Dave.
2nd and 5th on the top of your screen there. The teammates are going to pit for Junior Motorsports for Elliott Sadler. The car was pretty well balanced. Very few changes, if any, as he gets tires and fuel. Same for Justin Allgaier, who said he gets just a little bit of a wedge adjustment.
Dave, another couple of teammates on the bottom of your screen from Joe Gibbs Racing, the 20 of Eric Jones. The race started off, he had a very loose race car. It has snugged up since. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment. Meanwhile, the 18 taking 2 tires. He's been leading most of the day. Kyle Busch rolling the dice here with only 2.
2 spots gained by Kyle Larson as the race off pit road, brought to you by Geico. Looks like a couple guys, no tires, a couple 2-tire strategies. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping drivers worry less on the track and on the road. Today's aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods. An overcast day in Kansas City, Kansas. Still closing in on the halfway point of this race. 90 laps completed the 200. Take a look at a little bit dangerous on pit road.
You see right here is the three of Ty Dillon leaves the left rear tire, goes over the air gun's hose. Luckily doesn't get caught. See that a lot, but the fear is if they can get caught on the quarter panel, it can become dangerous quick. So we have the 6 of Darrell Wallace Jr. who's decided to stay on the racetrack. That's actually a great decision. You know, he pitted last at lap 79. He hasn't run that many laps on the green. Only 4 laps on the green, has gained a tremendous amount of track position. That lap 79 might be a little questionable in the fuel window, but it worked very, very well. And behind the 6 of Darrell Wallace Jr., we have the 42 of Kyle Larson. He came down and took fuel only. And I think that's why I question the fuel window of the 6, because the 42 is just on pit road as well at lap 79. But I don't think they feel they can make it to the finish of this race with only 1 stop, Rick. So they came, just got a splash of gas. Next to him, Kyle Busch, Jeff, he took right side tires.
Yeah, we also saw the 11 car. He was out there running, an opportunity to do the same thing that Wallace was doing, and he ended up coming at and pitting with the lap down cars. So, Marty, what was that reason?
A little miscommunication there. They didn't see that the 6 had stayed out. They were trying to stay out, lead a lap, get the bonus points, and that would certainly help them in the chase. So when that all went awry, they came down pit road, put on fresh tires and fuel as well.
So went from the possibility of running second with Darrell Wallace Jr. with good tires all the way back because of a miscommunication, all the way back to 14th.
And I don't think the 11's lined up in the right spot. He pitted the second time around. You're not allowed to pull up, Rick. We'll have to see what NASCAR says.
He was running outside of a few different cars. That's normally letting them know that you don't know where you're supposed to be restarting, and for NASCAR to look at it as they go 3 wide once again into turn 1. But the battle for the lead might be short-lived for Darrell Wallace Jr. The 18 of Kyle Busch on the outside has a push from Elliott Sadler, and Kyle Busch back out front. Kyle Larson once again right in the tire tracks of the 1 of Elliott Sadler. Now looks high, and he'll take the high line into turn number 1.
Look how fast he rolls the center of the corner, carries that speed to the exit. You see how loose he was? He's still in the gas, though.
So Kyle Larson has moved up to 2nd. Elliott Sadler back to 3rd. Sadler using that low line, trying to get back by, or at least to the rear quarter panel of the 42. Can't make it that time, and so now the 42 will set its sights on the 18 of Kyle Busch. Darrell Wallace Jr. staying out on the track. Lost the lead, but in the big picture, the overall track position has stayed up in the top 5, currently running in the 4th position, so a smart move for this team.
Well, listen, if he can stay out there long enough, get another caution after 35, 40, 50 laps, and everybody's going to pit, and if he's running 8, he's still netted out better than where he was running. So that's what the play is, just to try to get track position, gain some spots. They don't have the speed to run in the front, but if they can net out 2 or 3 spots, it was worth the gamble.
But, Jeff, they think they have more speed than they did. Darrell Wallace Jr. was very excited about his car and that last quick run. They had come down to pit road. The caution before made some adjustments, and he loves the way this 6 is handling now.
Well, really, when you look at the pit strategy of the 6, I'm just going to compare him back a few positions to the 11 of Blake Cook. Remember, the 11 stayed out. He had the chance to start next to the 6, chose not to, came to pit road, currently in the 13th position. Darrell Wallace Jr. in the 5th position. We'll have to see, Jeff, as you mentioned, in 20 laps where they net out.
Yeah, chasing that point, chasing that bonus point for leading a lap. I don't know. I'm not so sure, because even if you'd have led that lap and come in and pitted, you still would have given up all those spots for that little bit of a point. So I'm not sure that was exactly the way I would have played it. We'll see how it works out. But, I agree with leading points and doing everything you can to get those points. But at the same time, you can't give up spots just to gain a singular point.
Yeah, every position on the racetrack is worth a point. So even though gaining the 1 point for leading the lap, if he loses 7 positions, he's actually lost 6 points, more or less, because of the positions that he's dropped back. And every point counts. Every point matters, because last week the 3 of Ty Dillon was eliminated because of 1 point. He was 1 point behind the cutoff line.
Eric Jones had a decision he had to make. The 88 of Smith was coming up the racetrack. Eric wanted to go the outside, but the 88 kept coming. Finally, he just had to lift, and look at all the momentum that lost it.
But I'm impressed. And the reason I say that is you talk about points and how valuable they are. Eric Jones, in my opinion, is racing like a driver that wants to be in Miami. In the first round, Eric Jones made mistakes, got behind both at Kentucky and Dover with a tire issue at Dover and a crash at Kentucky. Today, there's a lot of speed in that 20, but a lot more patience behind the wheel for Eric Jones. At only 20 years old, a very quick study.
He's able to get by the 19 of Daniel Suarez. We saw a very aggressive move by Ty Dillon, and the 3 was down at the apron as we see the 42 of Kyle Larson. And front of that 1 of Elliott Sadler now, that's second.
Why is it so important for Eric Jones to stay on the racetrack? Because wins are going to be very hard to come by. Look what we have right now. Kyle Busch, Sprint Cup driver, leading. Kyle Larson, Sprint Cup driver, second. Elliott Sadler in third, Dave, is the first Xfinity regular.
He's playing that middle-of-the-road strategy that he talked about when we interviewed him in Countdown to Green. And wouldn't it be great if you could call Dale Earnhardt Jr. anytime you wanted to? Well, Elliott Sadler can and does for advice from his car owner in running this Chase Championship. Junior's had good runs here at Kansas. Elliott stays in constant contact with him to glean whatever he can from that driver. Mike?
Well, Dave, we documented at the beginning of the show how much adversity Eric Jones and the 20 team faced in the round of 12, nearly being eliminated. I asked his crew chief before the race what he learned about Eric during those moments. He said, I learned he's resilient and determined, and he knows how to deal with pressure. That's what he's been dealing with so far. This round, however, attempting to become a little bit smoother and get off to a much better start. The car has been very well balanced. He restarted 10th on this run and is already up almost in the top 5. Marty?
Mike continuing to diagnose the potential transmission issue for Daniel Suarez. Here's what he had to say on the radio a little while ago.
So I'm pretty sure there's something with a drive shaft or with a gear. Okay, so we're just going to have to play it out here. We got it right now, so.
Guys, he said every time that popping noise happens, he physically feels it inside the race car. And also when it happens, the RPM dips about 100 RPM. So that's a little bit of a concern for the 19 team. Also on restarts, Kelly says he's really struggling with power. Kelly?
Well, Marty, when I asked Brendan Gaughan about racing here at Kansas, he said, personally, I love it. This track has always been good to me, but our mile-and-a-half cars have not been as stellar, and now we have got to caution out. Brendan Gaughan, I can tell you, having all sorts of handling troubles with the 62.
The 70 is stopped on pit road, and that's Derek Cope, and that's probably the reason for this caution. When you can't be under power and you're on pit road like that, it's a safety issue. You can't have cars coming down pit road at speed.
To break or lock up, and all of a sudden it started to shatter the rear wheels.
Yeah, so he had trouble. I saw him on the front straightaway. I didn't think he was going to make it as far as he did. He was going very slow down the back straightaway, rolled exceptionally slow through 3 and 4 on the apron, and ultimately that's as far as he got. So NASCAR was forced to throw the caution.
And we mentioned about Darrell Wallace Jr.'s strategy and Blake Cook's strategy. Well, sometimes strategy doesn't matter and the speed of your car does. And Darrell Wallace Jr. started towards the front, Blake Cook started towards the back. And here they are nose to tail in 12th and 13th. And I don't mean to be rude, but that's really the concern for these two Chase teams. They just do not have the cars, the equipment, and can't seem to put the races together to run with Elliott Sadler, Allgaier, Eric Jones, Daniel Suarez. Now, they have advanced to the round of 8, so they have found a way to do it. They were better than Ty Dillon, who didn't get moved forward. So they're going to have to continue to try different strategies. But in this point, neither the strategy of Darrell Wallace Jr. or Blake Cook really ended up making a difference.
Yeah, this isn't a reason for the caution, but watch Ryan Preece coming off the corner. So we use a lot of racetrack. Boom, right there.
Right front tire?
Yeah, right front tire came down, and something flew off of that car. I don't know what it was.
A lot of times when they blow, they'll blow the fender out.
Oh, that's a shock absorber. Comes back and hits. Yeah, that's a shock. Wow. There it is, right in the hood. So see right here. Boom, right there. The shock flies up in the air, probably gets into the fence, knocks it back onto the racetrack.
So the 70, that's Derek Cope, and there's the shock. It ended up in the front of the 4.
Well, the bad news is you lost your shock. The good news is we know where it is.
Ross Chastain found it.
It's up in the grill, in the fake grill, not the real grill.
I mean,
oh, there's something.
You watch racing as long as we've watched racing. You've never seen it all, have you? I mean, imagine the force it takes for a shock to come off a race car and then it bounce around and get in the grill of someone else's car.
Pretty amazing. And so that shock continues to dangle, and that's kind of stuff that you can see on NASCAR America. The amazing things that happen at a racetrack in NASCAR America. Daily at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 90 minutes to diagnose what takes place at the racetrack, especially here at Kansas coming up next week as they'll look forward to Talladega for the Sprint Cup Series.
It says car shield on the hood, but wasn't tough enough for that, was it?
The grill shield. He needed a grill shield to keep the shock absorber from breaking through. And actually, I mean, NASCAR is going to ask him to come in to have that removed because they will know that at some point in time that's going to fall off. And that would then cause another caution because of debris on the racetrack. I want to listen into the 20 of Eric Jones and the spotter communication.
Twice there, once at the 22 and the 3. You had them cleared up off the corner, but one little slip and their nose is out there, so I'm being conservative. So it can happen. Or, no worries. I know who we're racing and what we're racing for, so later in the race I'll put you in that hole.
That was spotter coverage presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping drivers worry less. Steve, you don't think they'll have to come in to have that shock taken off the front end of the 4?
I don't know. We'll have to see what NASCAR's opinion is. They usually would just tell the crew chief to come up with a plan, and maybe they'll encourage him to use this caution to be the correct time. Now, I think the wise decision is to come in and pull it out, but we'll have to see if the tower here, NASCAR officials, what they think about it.
So again, this is the 5th caution. There have been 23 laps under caution, 8 lead changes between 4 different drivers. Kyle Busch has led 96 laps. Eric Jones has led 4. Darrell Wallace Jr., when he stayed out, led 3 laps. And Daniel Suarez has led 2 laps in this race as we've just passed the halfway point, 105 laps complete of the 200. Kyle Busch seems to have the car to beat today.
Pit road's open. Let's see if anybody takes it. Some guys coming down pit road.
A couple takers led by the 3. Ty Dillon is coming to pit road. And let's go there now.
The excitement for Bubba Wallace and the handling of his car was short-lived. You saw they just made a chassis adjustment, and then other than that, fuel only for Bubba Wallace. And now you see the 62 of Brendan Gaughan. They have made some big changes to this car throughout the day, although this last time around, Brendan said it felt the best it's felt all day, although he was worried that he might have had a tire going down because he said he was wiggling around a bit. So they wanted to check the tires. They're also checking the track bar, which is why you can see this is a lengthy stop, just doing everything they can to make sure they've got the car where it needs to be for Brendan Gaughan to make a run here.
We saw a crew member underneath the car with a tape measure. So trying to figure out exactly what they needed to do as the shock absorber lands right on the 4. And welcome back to Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas, as the Xfinity Series taking on this mile-and-a-half out front. Kyle Busch chosen the outside lane. Kyle Larson on the inside. We'll see how Larson does on the inside on this restart. Most of Larson's moves have been to the high side of the racetrack. Great restart for Kyle Larson. Had a little bit of help from the one of Elliott Sadler. That puts him right on the back bumper of Kyle Busch. Joey Logano ducks to the low side, tries to get by that 42 for the second spot. And now the momentum for Erik Jones has him looking to get by Joey Logano. Erik Jones in the 20. And to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to take third away from Logano. And he's got it. So Erik Jones, one of the 8 chase drivers, looking for a way to get into the championship 4.
Yellow.
And some debris on the back stretch has brought the caution out for the 6th time. Excuse me, the front stretch. So Erik Jones made his way up to 3rd. The caution comes out. And a situation now, Erik Jones. How demoralizing is it that Erik Jones, running as well as he is, an Xfinity Series regular, and there you see the debris, in an Xfinity Series regular, has Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson, 2 Sprint Cup stars, up in front of him, and has not been able to pass for the lead yet.
He will be soon.
You think he'll be able to catch up to those guys?
Well, I think he'll be challenged, and I really do. I think he's been there all day. But I think another story we talked about that's developing is this is going to put Ross Chastain back in the lead lap. There's only 2 cars that are 1 lap down now. So potentially Ryan Reed, with all these short cautions, Ryan Reed is going to potentially get to be 1 lap down. If he ever gets to be 1 lap down, he'll be the only car a lap down and be able to get eventually back in the lead lap.
Let's go NASCAR nonstop as Kyle Busch continues to lead from Kansas.
fall short last year hurt. We're going to try to go out there and put up as many points as we can.
Corner of the end zone for the touchdown.
You can talk all you want about how you want to play, but in the end, it's all about what you do on the field.
4th and goal. He stopped. Notre Dame wins.
The Cardinal and Irish, two storied programs going at it once again. 7:30 p.m. tonight, college football. Stanford versus Notre Dame right here on NBC. And so 2x2 once again, the cars lining up. Kyle Busch will take that outside line and Kyle Larson on the inside. On every restart, it seems as though the guy lined up behind you has been the one who has dictated who gets out front, at least going through 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, remember last week in the Cup race, we saw trying to push on a restart cause a lot of problems. So I keep holding my breath, wondering if somebody's not going to get lined up exactly right or hit somebody a little harder than they mean to and spin somebody out on the front straightaway, causing a wreck. That's what happened last week, just trying to push each other, try to help the restart, and keep waiting for it to happen here.
It's a little interesting. The 18 of Kyle Busch has the option, and he continues to choose the top. The reason I find that interesting is his teammate, Eric Jones, is the first car in the second row in the bottom line. So he has the choice to line up in front of his teammate, but he just must feel the top is that big of an advantage through 1 and 2, Jeff.
Yeah, I think it's all about the back straightaway and getting into 3. I think if he feels like if he gives Kyle Larson the outside, Kyle will have more momentum leaving turn 2 and could beat him into turn 3.
We go through the rows. Look at row 3. Brandon Jones. What a great run for that team, the 33 team, currently running in the 5th position. Back into the restart, Jones for the zone, and green flag back in the air.
Cook was an aggressive move underneath Brandon Jones.
And I think that's what hurts the momentum of the bottom. As cars pull out of line, I think it takes energy away from the whole bottom lane. And for that reason, the 18 of Kyle Busch and the 22 of Logano clear.
And so the 42 has dropped back, fighting for 3rd with Elliott Sadler on the high side. And here comes the 22. Logano trying to take the lead away from Kyle Busch. Logano with a 3-car length lead out in front of the field. And right away, Kyle Larson back up to the high side of the track. Eric Jones trying to hang on to 4th. And you see Elliott Sadler waving the finger out the window.
Yeah, he had to get out of the gas off turn 2.
And he's going to be in the middle.
Yeah.
Eric Jones and Kyle Larson splitting the 1. And the momentum goes to the 42 of Kyle Larson.
In front of them, the 18 of Kyle Busch is trying to take the lead back from the 22 of Joey Logano.
He's closed the gap, less than a car length just a moment ago. And now to the bottom of the racetrack goes the 18 of Kyle Busch.
You get inside the 22 off the bottom, but it seems like right about here on the straightaway, the 22 had been carrying the momentum. This time the 18 looks like he'll have a chance to sneak in front of him.
No out of bounds at Kansas. At racetracks like Talladega and Daytona, they can't go below the white line or double yellow line there at those tracks, but you can go on the apron here, pretty much go wherever you feel like you might get an advantage.
If it's paved, it's free game.
Brendan Poole in the 48, a little bit of a run on Blake Cook in the 11.
See the 11 trying to run the bottom of the racetrack, but in doing that, there's so much momentum he's been giving up, and people are just driving by him on the outside. We saw him make an aggressive move to get underneath the 33 on the restart, but now all those guys he got by on the restart are getting back by him by using the outside line.
Logano coming back now to Eric Jones. Jones was to the inside of Joey Logano. He's lost a little momentum, and here comes the 42 of Kyle Larson. So Larson goes to the bottom, trying to take that 3rd spot away.
And this is where it's so difficult if you're Kyle Larson on the bottom, trying to squeeze in there.
Crossover move by Eric Jones, and he tries to take the spot back. Very tight between the 42 and the 20.
It looked like they continue to swap the positions as the 42 goes to the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, Kyle Larson right there, he put Jones in a difficult spot. He moved up the racetrack knowing that he was going to have to check up big time. Jones had a decision to make. He hung a left, was able to clear the 42, but I can promise you that did not make Eric Jones very happy.
Or anyone on the 20 team as they watch that happen.
So right here, he's going, well, he's trying to clear the 22. He can't do it. He's coming up the racetrack. He just comes up there. Now he has to check up, and that's just saying to Eric Jones, hey, I don't care if you're here or not. I'm going to come here and take this spot. And a few of those, and you'll get upset. You'll see somebody in the back of another race car.
And as we were looking at Eric Jones, his Joe Gibbs Racing teammate, 19 of Darren Suarez, has a big moment inside the 6 of Darrell Wallace Jr.
Suarez seems to be struggling now as he's dropped behind Darrell Wallace Jr.
You have to wonder if that mechanical issue he continues to talk about has started to affect the handling of his race car. Mike.
And handling the race car for the 20 and Eric Jones has been tight. It started off real loose at the beginning of the day, but that's not the case now. He had radioed in earlier, something that I think made that last pass rather impressive. He said it's very difficult to pass right now unless it's on a restart. So that's pretty clear that he had to work pretty hard to make that move on Larson, and now he goes to work on Logano as well.
Well, it's difficult to pass because these other cars are fast and have speed. I don't mean to be silly when I say that, but we always talk about how hard it is to pass and blame aerodynamics and blame other things. The issue here is none of those. It's competition. The 20 of Eric Jones has to find a way to make his car a little more competitive if he wants to drive by Joey Logano, because Joey Logano, it's taken 122 laps, but he's found his way to the front, and his car can match the lap times of Eric Jones.
So many times we have seen guys make passes because of a mistake by someone in front of them, and you'll rarely see mistakes made by Kyle Busch or Joey Logano. So Eric Jones, who's running in the 3rd spot right now, has to either put himself into position when a mistake does happen that he's able to capitalize on it, or he's got to push the situation and try to make something happen.
And he can't push the situation. He just can't. I mean, I know we talk about winning races. That's what matters. And I can promise you Eric Jones is going to do everything in his power to win a race, but he's not going to get into the side of the 22 in an effort to do it because of where he is in points and who he's racing. So he is disadvantaged in racing these guys. These guys don't care. They're going to race hard. They don't care if they get in the wall. That's, you know, when you're a Cup driver, you just go mash the gas and things work out great. If they don't, then you race tomorrow. It's a huge difference in the way you can approach the race.
And right now, to be honest, I don't think Joey Logano cares the 20's behind him. He's going to run his line on the top of the racetrack, continue to run his line, and allow the 20 to have the bottom 2 lanes of the racetrack to see if he can use them to pass the 22. He's in front of him now. We'll see. Can he carry the momentum off the corner? Can he get in the throttle? He does. Clears the 22.
And so a good pass by Eric Jones. He takes that second spot away from Joey Logano, but as you heard.
And now he's got to be cool. Now he's got to just pace himself, not try to drive too hard. You saw the 22 run right back up to him. You're tempted to overdrive the corner to try to get away from him, but Eric Jones smartly gets in the corner, does pays no attention whatsoever to 22, drives his line, does not overdrive the car, and he's going to drive away from Joey Logano.
So Logano has fallen back to 3rd, and Eric Jones trying to reel in Kyle Busch, trying to get that win and the automatic pass to the championship 4. NASCAR Drive is NASCAR.com's live race day companion. You can select your in-car video or camera angle, access integrated driver stats, lap-by-lap commentary, social conversation, all in real time. You won't miss a lap when you visit NASCAR.com/drive on your personal computer now. And welcome back to Kansas Lottery 300 as we take a look at the Toyota driver update. The top two, both driving Toyotas, Kyle Busch and Eric Jones, and Daniel Suarez back in 10th. Matt DiBenedetto is running 15th. Eric Jones continuing to reel in, or try to reel in, the 18 of Kyle Busch. You know, drivers leading the most laps have failed to win 13 of 15 races at Kansas Speedway, and Kyle Busch will most definitely lead the most laps, as he has already led 121, now 122. So maybe that gives a little hope for a guy like Eric Jones or Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, Elliott Sadler running behind Kyle Busch.
Well, you need a little hope because Kyle Busch just ran a 31 flat, and if you look at Logano, he ran a 31.50, Larson a 31.45. You know, he's almost a half a second faster. I mean, that's crazy to be that much faster.
Want to get an update on the Chasers and how they are doing? We start off with Mike Massaro.
And one guy who definitely has a clear eye on the 18 and sees how fast he is the guy trying to track him down, his teammate Eric Jones. And his crew chief Chris Gabehart has learned a lot about his driver this year, guys. First and foremost, he says he's so intense. He not only wants to win every race, he wants to win every lap, and that was to their detriment in the first 3 races of this chase. So much, in fact, that Chris told me earlier today that, look, we need to keep him focused on the big picture. We're going to have to do that throughout the day. And one of the things he's had to contend with today is knowing when he's racing against a guy he's racing for the championship against, and a guy like a Cup driver with no championship aspects involved this afternoon. He's had to be very careful around Joey Logano at times, and also Kyle Larson, knowing they're not in the championship chase, and he's been conservative in that regard. Still trying to chase down the 18, Dave.
Mike, when I had a conversation with Elliott Sadler about the chase, Elliott mentioned the fact that his team has been very relaxed, really calm. He said one thing, though, is that we haven't had to dig out of any huge hole, so I'm not sure how that will affect us if it happens to come up. He said, by the way, the pressure of the second round will be a little bit more intense than the first, but I know my guys can handle it. Justin Allgaier knows that if he has a bad run today, the next 2 weeks off, which the series is, would be horrible to just sit around and do nothing. So what did he do? His friend Miguel Paludo from Brazil, used to be a Truck Series teammate of Justin's, asked him to come down and do some endurance racing in Brazil. He loves the idea. He's going to get away. And he says, regardless of how I finish today, it'll be a nice distraction from this pressure-filled chase. Marty?
Dave, this week, Daniel Suarez did a little traveling as well to the White House to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. He said it was such a cool experience. Got to get the grand tour of the White House and spoke to kids and college kids in high school as well about his career here in racing and what it's like, and inspire them that they too can make it here in the United States. Certainly an exciting week for Daniel Suarez at the White House, Kelly.
Darrell Wallace Jr. advanced to the round of 8 by just a single point, and after the last race, he said he didn't feel like they deserved to move ahead. He said that again a couple days ago on NASCAR America, but now they look to make the most of their opportunity in this round. The biggest lesson learned is to take what the day in the car will give him. His crew chief, Seth Barber, reminding him at the start of this race, hey, have a heads-up day. We've got a clean slate now. Let's go get him, Marty.
Blake Cook back there, Kelly, with a playoff beard that he only expected, honestly, to last about 3 weeks. He told me a couple days ago, he said, listen, I grew this thinking it would be fun. You know what? That's what the NHL players do. They grow that beard during the playoffs. I thought, hey, we're only going to be through the first round. But here they've advanced to round number 2, that playoff beard growing. He said, I've never grown a beard this long in my life. The best part, though, wife Shannon has her stamp of approval on the playoff beard. So far, so good for Blake Cook. Kelly.
41-year-old Brendan Gaughan is relishing the opportunity to be out here competing for the championship. When you ask him about pressure, he told me, I love feeling pressure. It makes me feel alive. Getting butterflies in my stomach, I love it. I'm enjoying this so much. I would just kill to have this same feeling every year. In fact, he said it was this bringing this chase format to the Xfinity Series that made him decide to continue on with his racing career. And now he and the other elder statesman, Elliott Sadler, hope to play spoilers to the next generation of drivers, which includes the 16 of Ryan Reed. He had 2 top 10 finishes in that first round of the chase. He said that elimination race last week at Charlotte, man, I was so nervous. This is a 3rd year in Xfinity Series, and he said, I don't know if I've ever been more nervous going into a race. I had no idea that it would be like this. The chase just put so much pressure on him as a driver. He is relieved to make it through to this round and now says they've got nothing to lose, Rick.
Thanks, Kelly. Great job, you guys, getting us caught up on the chase drivers. Varying in age, you had mentioned Brendan Gaughan at 41, Elliott Sadler 41, all the way down to 20-year-old Eric Jones, who's currently running in the 2nd position, right behind Kyle Busch. Ryan Reed, after the issues early on, a plug wire coming out, or loose, a 23-year-old from Bakersfield, California, has seemed to have gotten things back on track. He's 2 laps down, but in a position, Ross Chastain just actually went a lap down, so he's not going to be able to get the free pass. But he's in a position, if he could get by Cole Custer, who also has had issues today, he could get himself back into position to try to get a lap back. But there are only 57 laps to go, so Ryan Reed, the lowest of the chase racers right now at 19th, so it could be a big hole that he'll have to dig himself out of.
He has to have a lot of cautions, a lot of quick ones.
As we see a battle for 3rd place between the 22 of Joey Logano and the 42 of Kyle Larson. We're closing in on green flag pit stops, perhaps the final pit stops of the day if the race continues to run green. We'll have to see these drivers. Remember, we've seen a lot of mistakes, a lot of speeding on pit road, lug nuts, issues like that as the battle heats up between the 42 and the 22. Got a little close off turn 4. Now the 42 comes up to the 22's door, and the one of Elliott Sadler has a front row seat for all of it.
And it looks as though Larson's going to be able to get by the 22, and here comes Elliott Sadler. So Sadler also goes by Logano. Sadler moves up to 4th.
Once again, we saw Larson just pull up in front of the 22. 22 had to lift. You know, if he hadn't lifted, there would have been a wreck. So that loss of momentum was a gain to Elliott Sadler.
Marty.
Kyle Larson never been one to lack bravery, has he, guys? Car also loose for Larson, and he's running that high line right up against the wall, so kind of tough to run up against the wall with a very free race car. All these leaders, as you see them shoot up to the top of the racetrack, going to pit about 2 to 3 laps, so green flag stops coming up quickly.
And so teams trying to stay loose, even though the pressure continues to build. You see the one of Elliott Sadler working to the inside of the 42 of Kyle Larson. Some of the crew members having a little fun. When you got, I guess, friends like that, who needs enemies? It said kick me on there, and then somebody else put one on there with another note. So they're trying to have some fun on pit road.
Can't pick on a guy with a helmet on. He can't turn around and see.
And I'm sure they're patting him on the back saying, hey, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. And adding notes as they go. So green flag pit stops are getting underway. We go to Marty.
Chaser Blake Cook coming down pit road. They struggle with the car that's been a little bit tight on this run. Earlier in this run, Chris Rice, his crew chief, told him, listen, we have a 7th to 10th place car. That's where we need to finish. Don't push it too much. You saw some trouble there on the right rear on this stop. You don't want that under a green flag stop. Dave?
During several laps this run, Marty, the one car of Elliott Sadler was the fastest on the track, but near the end of the run, he started losing just a little bit right rear grip. He's going to get an air pressure adjustment to help that, and a 4-tire change in fuel. Meanwhile, his teammate Justin Allgaier, he said he started tight in the middle, a little free on both ends of the corner, so they're going to get a wedge adjustment for that. 4 tires in fuel for Allgaier. He gave up 6th position to pit, waiting on the fuel to get him to the end with 52 to go. Mike.
Kyle Busch has dominated the race thus far. He will pit from the lead here, looking for perfect execution on pit road so as not to spoil what has been a dominant day so far. Right side service now, looking for a 4-tire change on the 18 as they did 2 tires last time down pit road. Fueling as well. Meanwhile, his teammate Eric Jones, he's the guy trying to chase him down. His car's been progressively getting tighter and tighter as the run goes on. 4 tires and fuel there for the 20 car, Marty.
Daniel Suarez running about 7th when he comes to pit road, Mike. 4 fresh Goodyear tires. He said it's loose on entry. Couldn't stand to be any looser, so they tried to tighten up that entry a little bit with a wedge adjustment. Also some air pressure, trying to get that car a little bit tighter for Suarez.
Kyle Busch had just under a 3-second lead when the green flag pit stops started.
Yeah, that lead's going to be a lot bigger right here. So you see the 20 car, jack goes under the jack stop, and right there it comes back down. I don't know if it fell off the jack or if he inadvertently let the jack down, but the jack went down. They had to jack the car back up. That cost them maybe 3 seconds, I'm guessing. But that right there under green flag conditions is a huge amount of track position.
And the way they drop the jack, you twist the handle. So when he twists the handle, that takes all of the pressure out of the jack and drops it back down. So that's something that's very easy to do, too. I mean, these guys practice every single day to make sure they don't make those mistakes, but it's that simple that it could happen.
Yeah, they're really pretty fortunate that the tires weren't in a position to create a lot of damage on the race car. It's very easy to happen.
Kelly.
Darrell Wallace Jr. making his way down pit road. He said that his car is a little bit free in, although he called that manageable, but his car has been pretty tight from the center of the corner off throughout this race. You see it's going to be a 4-tire change and a chassis adjustment for Darrell Wallace Jr. Meanwhile, that's Brendan Gaughan in the 62 car. He said he has got a tight race car, especially when he runs the lower line. They made a track bar adjustment as well as an air pressure adjustment for Brendan Gaughan.
Brendan Gaughan coming off of pit road, as is Darrell Wallace Jr. We are on a 39-lap green flag run. As it cycles through with the green flag pit stops, Kyle Busch will be back out front. We go NASCAR nonstop. Welcome back to Kansas Speedway as the caution has come out for the 7th time. It is debris on the racetrack that has brought out this caution. And when it came out, all of the green flag pit stops had not cycled through, and so there were only 3 cars on the lead lap. Regan Smith, Ty Dillon, and Matt DiBenedetto. Interesting because you will see Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, Kyle Larson, Elliott Sadler more than likely take advantage of the wave around.
Well, Kyle Busch will get the free pass. So he won't have to take advantage of the wave around. He'll get the free pass, which is a big advantage because then he can pit if he so chooses and come and get tires. The cars that are going to try to take the wave around, they can't pit. So they're going to have to let the leaders pit, which is basically the 88 you see here of Regan Smith the 3 of Ty Dillon, the 14 of Matt DiBenedetto. Those are the 3 cars in the lead lap.
A little bit of sprinkles. We get a little bit of report of sprinkles on top of all that. See it on the camera right there.
And you see the 16. That was a water bottle.
It was a water bottle.
Let's listen in to Kyle Busch's radio.
Having to shut everything off. Sure, you have gone to battery 2, correct? Yeah, there it is. Never mind.
I believe that's 18 talking about having a charge, either an alternator issue or it won't charge, or a battery issue where the batteries are dying. But with 42 laps to go, as we see the 18 pass the pace car for the free pass, it'll be interesting to see, can the 18 manage their power issues? Dave.
Nice call by crew chief Dave Ellens, former engineer, and his engineers to leave Regan out as long as they could. He comes to pit road. Car is still under fire. He'll get 4 tires to send him back out. He was happy with the balance, Mike.
Caution comes at a good time for Ty Dillon. He was asked by his crew chief what he needs. His answer simple: stickers and a clear view of the front. They're giving him the 4 new Goodyears right now, along with Sunoco race fuel, and he's off.
They should be able to make it from here with only 41 laps to go. The fuel window between 55 and 60. So the cars coming to pit road this time easily will make it to the end of this race.
Back here at the Kansas Speedway, where Kyle Busch has dominated throughout the afternoon. He's led over 130 laps today. He's on pit road. They'll make a 4-tire change along with a chassis adjustment. The car has been very good. A little bit of an issue with the battery, but he switched over to battery 2 and says there are no longer any issues. Rick?
We mentioned the wave around possibility because there was only 3 cars on the lead lap when the caution came out. So let's explain how the wave around works.
All right, so basically the wave around is the opportunity for cars to get back in lead laps. You see the cars, the dots on the top of your screen, the white one being the pace car, the green dots being the lead lap cars. So the first time around, the lead lap cars pit. That puts the lap down cars behind the pace car, but in front of the lead lap cars. So then the second time around, basically what happens is, when they come around to get 1 to go, NASCAR is not going to allow the lap down cars to start in front of the lead lap car, so they wave around the pace car, getting their lap back, basically a free lap. They come around and they line up at the tail of the field for the restart. The only caveat to this is they can't come to pit road. If a wave around eligible car comes to pit road, they lose that eligibility.
And right now we're seeing it. Here goes the wave around cars, taking advantage of this caution to get back on the lead lap. And again, it had only been a few laps since they were on pit road. Guys like Kyle Larson, Elliott Sadler, they were on pit road at lap 147. Eric Jones, lap 148.
So the big difference is Kyle Busch was able to get the free pass. So the difference is this. The 18 was able to come to pit road. That is the difference. He came, He got 4 tires. He filled up with fuel. He will also line up at the tail end of all of the regular cars except for the wave-around cars. The wave-around cars will still be the final few cars on the racetrack.
So that would mean that Kyle Busch, even though on the lead lap, will be behind lap-down cars.
That's right.
At the start.
But in front of the wave-around cars.
Correct.
And once you pit, you are no longer eligible to take that wave-around. That's why Kyle, with a huge advantage, you know, the difference between the first car being the first car lap down and then taking that wave-around. That's the big advantage.
We mentioned Kyle Busch running in this one. He will also be taking on the Cup regulars. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup continues tomorrow on NBC. Race 2 in the round of 12. Coverage beginning at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Chase standings for the Sprint Cup. Jimmy Johnson, with his win last week, will advance to the round of 8. There are 2 more spots with wins that can move on to the round of 8. The rest will be based on points.
After the chaos we saw at Charlotte, Denny Hamlin having an engine issue, Austin Dillon, the restart crash, Chase Elliott was in that restart crash, Joey Logano had tire trouble, Kevin Harvick had an engine issue. I'm not going to pretend to predict what we could possibly see tomorrow afternoon. The only thing I would say is you better tune in to watch because the pressure is only going up every race of the chase.
So right now, if you're Regan Smith and Ty Dillon, you're starting on the front row. You're the leaders. You have tires. You have Kurt Busch stuck back there on he's about row 6, row 7. You got to get away. These 2 guys don't need to be in a position where they're battling side by side. If one guy can clear another and then try to make some ground and hope you don't get a caution, you know that 18 car is faster. You've been all day long. You've got to get the lead. I'm sorry if I said Kurt Busch. I meant to say Kyle Busch. You've got to take advantage of this track position and make them pay for the pit strategy that you and your team came up with that put you in this lead.
So you see all the cars, basically the 3 and the 88 of the front row, the 18 of Kyle Busch, he's in 5th. He is in 5th on the racetrack, but he has those lap down cars in between him. That's what he's going to have to deal with.
And remember, he cannot pass until he gets to the start-finish line. He cannot change his lane until he gets to the start-finish line. So an opportunity for the front row to get clean and get gone.
37 laps to go. Regan Smith on the outside, Ty Dillon on the inside, back through the restart zone. Green flag back in the air.
If you're Kyle Busch stuck back there in the bottom, he instantly hangs a left and goes 3 wide. He knows he has to go, Rick. He has to get by these lap cars as fast as possible.
Through 1 and 2. The banking at this racetrack, 17 to 20 degrees. Progressive from the bottom to the top. And Kyle Busch trying to go 3 wide. Looking at the inside of Jeremy Clements. Kyle Larson with momentum made it 4 wide as he went through the high side.
Ty Dillon almost cleared the 88 of Smith. Did not clear him. That's going to keep him doubled up. And here come the fast cars.
Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch meeting as they enter turn number 1. Splitting the lap down cars, and around goes behind him. Justin Allgaier in the 7 involved, as is Darrell Wallace Jr., both Chase drivers.
I think Ryan Reed was also in that wreck.
Cole Custer is involved in it as well.
So potentially 3 of our Chase contenders are in 1 wreck.
A lot of damage to the 6 of Darrell Wallace Jr., as well as the 7 of Justin Allgaier. Let's take a look at the 16, see if there's damage.
There is. 16. It's not as significant as the damage on the other cars, but there is damage.
Ryan Sieg has put the window net down already. The sparks flying from underneath the 39. Let's take another look at what happened. Things get crazy after restarts, and this was one of those 4 wide situations that was about to build.
I think Brandon Jones just misjudged the entry speed of the 7 car, trying to make a little bit of a move on the bottom, and got into the back of him, and got the 7 turned around, and then really nothing these guys could do.
Ryan Reed may have got away unscathed as he dove down inside the 7 and 6. We know that Ryan Sieg involved, Cole Custer, Justin Allgaier, Darrell Wallace Jr. Take a look at the 16. He dives down to the apron.
Yeah, I think he just barely touched the right front fender. We saw damage on the right side, so I think he barely touched the left front fender of the 7 car.
All of that happening at about 175 miles an hour as they were going into one.
So right there, the contact. Blake Cook by clean. Right there, maybe just a little bit of contact.
Maybe just a little bit. A nice job of not making it more severe. I mean, Ryan Reed is basically on a lap of his own at 2 laps down.
Let's ride along with Ryan Reed, see what kind of wild ride he had.
Top 3, still there, check up, hard, check up.
He actually got in the wall before.
Keep it straight, clear high.
Like to your, Jeff, like you get out of the gas and the car kind of went straight a little bit, or got on the brakes and it went straight a little bit.
Grass flying. A lot of sheet metal torn up. With just 34 laps to go, Justin Allgaier, Darrell Wallace Jr., 2 chase contenders, now with issues, and that hole that we've talked about with the Sprint Cup drivers, it looks as though they're going to start out in a hole.
Go back all the way on the straightaway. You see here the 33 just gets a big run, it looks like, as you said, and just gets into the back of the 7. I didn't know if they had been racing early on the straightaway, but we went back on the replay and they're not really near each other. It doesn't seem like they're upset with one another. I just think Brandon Jones just completely misjudged how much the 7 was maybe backing up the corner or getting out of the gas to run the bottom, and hits him in the bumper.
So this, the 8th caution, has come out at Kansas Speedway as this starts off the round of 8 for the Xfinity Series. Ty Dillon still scored up front. Regan Smith second. The drivers involved: Cole Custer, Darrell Wallace Jr., Justin Allgaier, Ryan Sieg, and Ryan Reed. 3 chase drivers involved in this incident. Let's listen in to Brandon Jones's radio and see what he had to say.
How bad's the nose, buddy? Get him that bad. 10-4. It's just racing. 4, they all checked up.
We all checked up.
Yeah, I think he was referring to, he was thinking the 7 car checked up a little bit earlier than he thought he was going to check up, and he just misjudged it. He didn't mean to run in the back of him and spin him around. He just misjudged it a little bit. The 7 started to slow up just a little sooner than Brandon was anticipating.
Let's listen to the 7 radio. They may have a little different perspective of this.
Yep, the 33 just absolutely destroyed us. 4, buddy.
Yeah, it wasn't a racing issue, and it wasn't just checking up. It was the 33 just destroyed us.
I don't think Brandon Jones does it on purpose, but I think Justin Allgaier has every right to be unhappy. I mean, it's one thing to change lanes, but this is basically on corner entry. The 33 has to know the 7's coming down. Just gets into his rear bumper. I mean, these are the mistakes we see. These younger drivers, I mean, that driver in the 33, Brandon Jones, is only 19 years old, has a tremendous amount of talent. We saw him qualify for the chase, wasn't able to advance out of round 1. But these are the mistakes that, you know, they race together week in and week out, and he's going to have a conversation with Allgaier. I'm sure they're going to disagree even after they discuss it on what happened on the racetrack. But the fact is, it's going to cost the 7 of Allgaier and the 6 of Darrell Wallace Jr. a lot of points.
And I listen, when you're Allgaier and you're entering the corner, you get it from the back, you're going to be upset. I mean, there's no reason why you wouldn't be upset.
There is the damage number 6 of Darrell Wallace Jr.
You got to be a little careful because the ripples of your mistake go farther than just the 1 car. So Brandon Jones gets into the back of the 7, but I'm pretty confident Darrell Wallace Jr. is going to find out how this crash started as well. And I'm not saying there's going to be payback or anything like that. The simple fact is, reputations become formed with how you race around other drivers. You've always said this, Jeff, that all these drivers understand, and they're all going to start to have an opinion on how they should race you.
Yeah, that's right. But look, everybody knows Brandon Jones. They know he's a clean race car driver. He doesn't really cause a lot of wrecks, doesn't cause a lot of problems, rarely is over-aggressive and those kind of things. So, you know, every one of these drivers that's in this wreck, they've been in a wreck too. They've caused a wreck also. So, you know, I think that Brandon Jones will handle it well, and that's all you can do. When you make a mistake, you go own up to it. Hey, I messed up. You go to see all the people that it impacted. It's tougher here, right? It's tougher here because you're racing people that are in the chase. And that's one thing that we really don't talk enough about is how difficult it is for everyone that is racing that's not in the chase. The last thing you want to do is be involved in a situation like this where you have 3 people in the chase and you started an incident. It's the last thing you want. It makes you feel horrible, but the opportunity is there because you're out there on the same racetrack as the rest of them. And it is a difficult situation for everybody involved. But Brandon Jones, he's a smart young man. He'll own this, and he'll handle it the correct way.
Let's go down to Dave Burns. He's with Darrell Wallace Jr.
And we're standing near his destroyed race car, which you got out of very gingerly. Are you okay? And he's getting a refreshment here first.
I have this. I'm okay. Just pretty hard hit. Just unfortunate, you know, we were making some good calls and meeting some laps and running our own race, and it's part of it. So you know, people ask what wild card race is in the next 3. Here you go. So we got a couple chasers, but can't thank my my Lidos team enough. We worked hard on it overnight to get us to be running pretty solid. Yeah, just 7 looks like he got loose. And
33 got into him a little bit too, it looks like.
Well, just unfortunate circumstances, you know. Our Lidos Ford Mustang was running okay. I think we could have got a top 10 if we just hit those restarts right, but just not our day. We were trying to make the most of it and just get out of here with a clean finish. But we'll be all right. We'll go to Texas and rebound, win us one, whoop some ass there, and go have some fun in Phoenix.
That's in 2 weeks. How will you avoid dwelling on the negative here, Bubba?
I mean, you just use it as motivation. So we'll push forward and just forget about this one. That's all you can do, right?
All right. Out today, but not out of the championship, guys.
A pretty good perspective. I mean, obviously, he's running for a championship. He's one of only 8 drivers that have that opportunity to win a championship, and something not of his doing puts him out of this race and will definitely be in a hole. When he takes his helmet off, you can see the dejection.
Or the pain.
Yeah.
You talk a lot about, you know, how safe these race cars are, but it's, you know, it hurts when you hit the wall that hard. It's still a big impact.
Yeah, you look at this car. I mean, it is mangled. Again, this accident here, when they enter turn number 1, they're going over 180 miles an hour.
Yeah, we just saw the.
Hey, real quick, guys.
Yeah.
There are EMTs standing by down here to address any situation that Darrell Wallace Jr. might have. So they've shown up here, and they'll be taking care of anything he's got as far as needs-wise. He did tell us he was okay, but he did get out real slowly.
Yeah.
And he'll have to go to the infield care center. I mean, he'll go to the infield care center. But you see right here, the gentleman that's in the left side window looking inside the car. That's David Green, former race car driver, won a lot of XFINITY races. He works for NASCAR now, heavily involved in their safety department. He's looking everything over. There's a data box in there. You see he's taking pictures of everything, what it looks like inside of the car. So every time there's a wreck, the NASCAR views this as an opportunity to learn something. They document it, they take pictures, they get the crash data report from it, learn as much as they can, and David's a big part of that, what's going on right now in NASCAR.
Actually, the 1994 Xfinity Series champion. Brother Jeff Green also won a championship in the Xfinity Series. So again, this caution, the 8th caution of the day, has come out, and it will reset the field. Ty Dillon, Regan Smith, they're currently 1 and 2. Matt DiBenedetto 3rd. Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch 4th and 5th. Dave.
The one of Elliott Sadler will get their final set of tires for the afternoon. Just to give them another little bit of an opportunity here at the end, they'll put on 4 and top it off with fuel. He was good to go as far as fuel goes, but they wanted to, actually, they're just change 2 right side tires. Marty?
Dave, this will be fun, a little split strategy, a lot of the leaders staying out. Daniel Suarez with right side tires and fuel there at the end, and see what happens. Blake Cook also coming in for fresh Goodyear tires as well and fuel. So some of the leaders stayed out, some pitted for tires. This is going to be a fun restart, Rick.
Absolutely. Ty Dillon, Regan Smith will make up the front row as we go NASCAR nonstop, waiting for the restart. Chase for the NASCAR Xfinity Series Championship will be back on NBC Saturday, November 5th at Texas Motor Speedway. Go from one very fast 1.5-mile track, Kansas Speedway, right to the fastest 1.5 miles at Texas Motor Speedway. Mike.
Rick, it would appear there is a major opportunity in front of the 3-car and Ty Dillon right now. He's a driver who was eliminated from the chase a week ago in Charlotte. He said earlier this week that he was obviously disappointed, but it only lasted about 2 hours before he was able to get over it. He said he sat in his motor coach in Charlotte and kind of thought about the situation and then realized, look, I've got to snap out of this. I need to move forward. And upon reflecting, one of the things he thought about was, I've never raced in my entire career not for the championship, all the way down to the final race. This will be the first time he's been able to do that. He said he's real interested to see how he'll be able to perform when the pressure is off. Right now, he's in position to perhaps snap a very lengthy winless streak.
Yeah, last time he was in victory lane was Indianapolis back in 2014, and it's been 76 races since his last win.
He had a tough decision to make right here. He chose the outside. I think that was the right decision. We know Kyle Larson's going to do a good job of pushing, but as he enters turn one, he's going to have to be protecting that outside, because we also know Kyle Larson is going to go there. He's going to go wherever Ty Dillon is not.
Yeah, it's a pretty safe bet that the top of 1 and 2 maybe be in the middle of the track, but when they get to 3 and 4, I expect that yellow and pink 42 to be right up against the wall.
We'll see how Ty does with this restart. Regan Smith will be on the inside, Ty Dillon on the outside as they enter the restart zone, and we're back to racing. .26 laps to go. Ty Dillon, is he going to play block? Try to figure out where his closest competitor wants to run and run that line instead. Down the backstretch he goes. A really good restart for Ty Dillon.
At the start by the 20 of Eric Jones.
Yeah, Eric Jones has now moved up to second. Daniel Suarez trying to take third away from Kyle Larson.
Brandon Jones on the outside.
3 Xfinity Series regulars in the top 3 right now. Can they hold off the Cup regulars? Kyle Larson in the 42 running 4th. Kyle Busch in the 18 running 5th. Oh. Jockeying for position. Looks like Brandon Jones had a little issue there with the 33, was wiggling it.
Yeah, that was a big save. I'm not sure that. I don't know if the 88 was in his quarterback battle for the lead.
How about Eric Jones right by the 3 of Ty Dillon?
Eric Jones has to be disappointed.
Oh, and the caution comes out. Brendan Gaughan sliding through the grass.
Another one of our contenders with hood damage. You see the left front of the hood. The hinge is broken. They're going to have to come in and get that tape down. He's already 1 lap down.
We're not done yet.
Exiting turn 4.
Looks like a lot of smoke,
yes,
though.
Yes, it does.
I think he had some sort of either an oil leak or... Well, you see the damage on the nose underneath the 62 on the right front.
Yep.
Hey, 4 tires when he gets here, and then get the hood.
They have bigger problems with the hood.
Just stop. We're leaking something here.
You see the stream of liquid coming out of the back of the 62. He's going to have to stop. He not only he'll oil down the racetrack, but he also break an engine. Yeah, you see the big stream of oil behind the race car.
Listen, with all these cautions and all these wrecks, I know Justin Allgaier, he had a problem, but he's still in 7th place. Ryan Reed is in 17th place, so these incidences are helping those teams.
Take another look at what happened with Brendan Gaughan. Tried to stay off of the 4 of Ross Chastain and went right into the grass.
When he went on the grass, he hit the bottom of something. If it like knocked the radiator out of the setting or something, and then knocked a hole in it, knocked a line off.
Yeah, big hit when he hit the grass. Right along with Joey Logano.
It's clear on the bottom in front of that 62. Clear behind that 33. Oh, good job. Keep digging.
When the spotter says, whoa, good job.
Too many cars fighting for one spot.
Once again, you see the dirt and sod flying as the car gets into the grass. Brendan Gaughan.
This is exactly what the 62 didn't need. Brendan Gaughan's been very vocal about how he didn't think he could just go outrun some of the faster cars, but he thought he could outpoint them, be consistent. This is going to hurt because, as you mentioned, Jeff, you know, other cars have had issues like Justin Allgaier, like Ryan Reed, but they are still within a couple laps of the leader inside the top 20. Brendan Gaughan, as they haul his car with the wrecker back to the garage, he's got to fall all the way, I think, outside the top 30, maybe 32nd or 33rd.
He was running 14th when this happened. Marty.
And guys, the caution could have been very well timed for Blake Cook. Take a listen on the radio.
You don't have a flat tire. 22 was on your right rear tight. Got a flat right rear tire. Does look low.
And that was the communication before that caution came out. That was happening right when Brendan Gaughan wound up spinning and having his issue. They are frantically down here in the 11 pit trying to glue up a set of tires. What that means is they literally put the lug nuts on the wheels. They have to glue them to the wheels so that they can make a pit stop. This is an older set of tires, but they are going to pit Blake Cook here in a moment and put on 4 Goodyear tires, Dave.
Managing bad days. That's how a lot of drivers get to the championship, and this has been a bad day for Justin Allgaier. They came back down pit road here to try to assess the situation on the left front. You see there is no fender there. Justin says the left front is just up in the air. Can we use a different shock or something? They did not change the shock. They did fit a fender to it to see if they could use aerodynamic downforce to keep that left front down. But managing what they have left today, getting in a free pass position perhaps after one of these cautions late in the race, could help Justin Allgaier to a championship.
This is all about situational awareness. Right now, Justin Allgaier is 1 lap down to the leader. Well, only Ross Chastain and Justin Allgaier are on that lap. So if he could just maintain this situation, it's 14th or 15th. As Dave said, if they could be fortunate enough 2 more cautions, both Ross Chastain and Justin Allgaier will be on the lead lap. Anyone else has issues, he continues to get up. So you have to understand, and Jason Burdett, Justin's crew chief, has been in this sport a long time. He understands when you stop racing for the win and you start basically just taking whatever points are available, and that might not mean much, but the 3, you mentioned earlier in the race, the 3 missed this round by 1 point, Rick, 1 point.
11 of Blake Cook, talking about a right rear tire down, Marty.
Well, and he said it's gone completely down now, and here's the problem. Pit road was closed until just now because of oil on pit road. Chris Rice made a plea over the radios to Wayne Auten. The series director said, come on, Wayne, please open pit road. So they're going to get that wish. Pit road open now for the 11 team, hoping that right rear does not come apart before they come to pit road.
It's worth a try, but they're not going to listen. They're going to open pit road when pit road is ready to open based on the safety and being able to get off pit road. The 62 was blocking the end of pit road basically, so until they could get him out of the way, they were not going to open pit road.
When the caution comes out, they close pit road. They put a red light up at the entrance to pit road. It's closed until NASCAR deems that everyone is in the right position that they're supposed to be in and that it's safe for them to come to pit road. So now that pit road is open, we will see that 11. Blake Cook make his way gingerly down pit road so that he can get a right rear tire changed. A few other takers coming onto pit road for potentially their final stops. Marty.
A lot of cars coming down pit road, including Joey Logano and Brandon Jones as well, but the main one we're focusing on right now is the 11 of Blake Cook. You can see that right rear, it is a little bit soft. They're going to put on 4 tires here. It is a set of tires that came off the car earlier in the race, about 10 laps on this set of tires, so 4 Goodyear tires going on for Blake Cook here. For Joey Logano, his team thought, why not? We have a fresh set of tires here sitting behind the wall. Let's see what we can do. Clearly taking their time here because so few cars have come down pit road. And an important note for Blake Cook and his race team, they're the last car on the lead lap. They're not going to lose any spots by coming down pit road here to put on those tires and take care of that flat right rear.
And a few chase drivers have had issues today, and starting off with Ryan Reed, and at the very beginning of this race, plug wire coming off. They diagnose it, they fix it, and he's been battling back. He's still 2 laps down.
Yeah, then the big wreck, the 7 of Allgaier, the 6 of Wallace, the 16. They all had damage in this wreck. The 7 and the 6 had the biggest amount of damage.
Yeah, this caused a big issue for the 7 of Justin Allgaier and the 16 of Ryan Reed, who still is trying to salvage the day. Unfortunately for Dale Wallace Jr., there wasn't much to salvage. You see here A little grimace on his face, a hard shot, a lot of damage on the 6, had to go behind the wall. His day's over.
And 62, 3 wide. Brendan Gaughan, bottom of Ross Chastain. Right here, a little bit of contact, and it makes him loose. Drives down into the grass. Tears something off the car. Old line loose, radiator broken, something. Ends his day. They got to bring it to the garage. They're probably that team's probably going to potentially can get back out. He shut it off. Hope he didn't damage the engine. Maybe they can get back out.
So there are the 4 of the 8 that have had issues today. Darrell Wallace Jr., Justin Allgaier, Ryan Reed, and Brendan Gaughan. And again, only 4 races remain. After this one, it's 3 to go for the Xfinity Series Championship. Texas, Phoenix, and Miami. Texas, Phoenix on NBC. Miami, that championship race will be on NBC SN. The month of November, very busy, very hectic for 8 drivers until they get to Miami, and then it's down to 4. We'll be able to keep up with everything going on the racetrack and off with NASCAR America. That's daily show on NBC SN. Starts at 5:30 Eastern, 90-minute show to break down what took place not only here at Kansas, but also looking ahead to the Sprint Cup race at Talladega for next weekend. And let's listen into the 3 radio.
Get the lead if you can. If not, know there might be another caution. We'll still be in this thing. Just do all you can do, man. We believe in you. You can do it, buddy.
These 2 drivers right here need to be careful. Eric Jones and Ty Dillon were the 2 that crashed together at the first race of the Chase, Kentucky, and here they are on the front row. Eric Jones still in the chase. Ty Dillon, though, it's all about race wins to try to save the season. The championship hopes are over.
Ty Dillon looking for that win. On the inside, Eric Jones on the outside. Back into the restart zone. 18 laps to go. Fanning out 4 wide.
Yeah, contact right there. He's hit damage on the 20. That's a lot of damage. The 3 they got together.
Once again, contact between the 3 and the 20, and a lot of damage to the left rear.
He's going to have to pit, obviously.
That's major points for the 20. It seemed like Kyle Larson was trying to force the issue, got into the bumper a little bit. The 3 and the 20 made contact, and now Daniel Suarez is the leader. 1 Dover already in the chase. Can he win the his second race of the chase?
And advance into the championship 4. A win here, and you're guaranteed a spot in the championship 4. Daniel Suarez trying to take advantage of that, but he's got Kyle Busch right behind him. 20 of Eric Jones on pit road. Mike.
And it will come to a complete stop, and the team goes to work on the rear fender on the left side, pulling it away from the tire and changing the tire at the same time. But their biggest priority here is making sure that there's complete clearance. They don't want to endure any more problems here as caution's on the racetrack.
Caution out. See the debris on the racetrack, and does that trap Eric Jones a lap down?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how NASCAR scores this, because Eric Jones is either going to be trapped a lap down or be the first car 1 lap down and get the free pass. NASCAR will announce that in the moment of who is eligible for the free pass.
He was on pit road, but I believe it was close to him already losing a lap once he got to pit road.
Still got time. Just now entry to 3.
So they're going to take the time to fix this. Again, it was the 3 that got into the 20. Let's take another look at the restart. The 7 gets the repass, so great news for Justin Allgaier.
See right there, the
42 got into the back of the 20.
Well, he was trying to look like go in the middle 3 wide, but there wasn't really room for a car there, and that got in the left rear quarter of the 20 and turned him to the left.
You can see right here, the 42 makes the move to go to the bottom, and then he makes contact with the 20 and then into the side of the 3.
Yeah, it's like he went left and then thought about it and will try to come back right, but at that point he was too close to the 20.
Quarter back to the 42. The 3 has no help. Still inside.
That was riding along with the 20.
We got a rub.
Now look at from the 1, Elliott Sadler.
Green. Push hard now. Push. He's not on the 19. He's not. Now he is. Keep coming, man. Keep coming on the very bottom. 3 wide, you're on the bottom. 3 wide, you're on the bottom. Keep coming low. Still 3 wide, you're on the bottom.
Still 3 wide, you're on the bottom. And there's a great shot of that.
Yeah, that's just, we've seen already cars that aren't in the chase impact the chase. And that right there was just aggressive driving, trying to get the win. And it's frustrating. It's very frustrating for Eric Jones. Here's a guy that's raced all year long, running every race, has a chance to win the championship, and gets run into by a Cup regular. And that makes it that much more frustrating because you're hoping for a little bit of respect from a guy that comes in and runs every now and then. And that's, Kyle Larson has every right to come in here. He can come here and race. But at the same time, I think these guys want a little bit of respect from those Cup guys.
And the 20 and the 3 coming to pit road. Let's listen to the 42 on his radio.
Looks to me like you had a really good restart, and the 2 in front of you tried to block you and hit each other. I finally timed a good one and saw a hole, and it closed, and I didn't have time to check up. It's all my fault.
At the end, you heard him say, "It's all my fault."
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the spotter or someone was trying to take the blame off of him, but Kyle Larson, took the blame. He said, "Hey, it is my fault. Don't blame it on those guys. It was all my fault. The hole closed, and I couldn't get slowed up enough." So, it's pretty clear what happened.
So unfortunate, obviously, for 2 drivers, the 3 of Ty Dillon and chase driver Eric Jones.
So Eric Jones is the only car 1 lap down, and he's in 15th. So if he doesn't gain anything else, at least it's not a terrible day at 15th, right? I mean, because so many other people have problems, you can be let off the hook a little bit, but he still has a fast car. If he can get that 1 caution, and who's to say we're not going to get another caution after this, he'll get back in that lead lap, and then we'll see if he can get some spots.
Brendan Gaughan has been checked and released from the infield care center after going through the grass earlier. And once again, 2 by 2. Now it's Daniel Suarez on the outside and Kyle Busch on the inside for this restart. Pace car makes its way onto pit road again. Field back in the hands of Daniel Suarez in the 19. And green flag back in the air. Very close on the restart there for Kyle Busch. The control car is the 19 of Daniel Suarez. He has the opportunity to decide to go anywhere in the restart zone, either at the beginning of it, in the middle, or at the end. If he gets to the end of the restart zone and he hasn't gone, the green flag will go in the air by the flagman, and that's when Kyle Busch can go if the 19 hasn't gone. But it was very close there as they were going through the restart zone.
NASCAR pretty much reviews every restart, so I know they're looking at it now just to make sure all that was right. See Elliott Sadler doing all he can to keep these guys behind him.
So Kyle Busch out in front, Elliott Sadler running second. Daniel Suarez has dropped back to third, Kyle Larson fourth.
I bet Brendan Poole's done a nice job today running fifth.
Had to start last on the field, so on the good recovery, both the 42 and the 48 had to start last.
Good run once again for Kyle Larson. I mentioned that Brendan Gaughan was checked and released. Check this out. He knows every lap counts. He wants to get back out there. That's the hustle that these guys are worried about. Every single position worth a point. And they know that if they've got a championship on the line, they've got to get every point they can.
Kyle Larson, much like what we saw last week at Charlotte, the short run to the finish, it seems like he's having a hard time getting this 42 hooked up and starting to move back to the front. He's just continued to be under attack from behind.
Kyle Larson has dropped back another spot. Brendan Poole moved up to fourth now. I mentioned starting at the back of the field. Brendan Poole putting on a very impressive show today in front of Cup regulars Joey Logano and Kyle Larson.
How about Elliott Sadler in second? Oh my goodness,
Kyle Larson.
Well, that's what I talked about earlier in the race. Kyle Larson just moved up in front of the 22 and just stopped. And Joey Logano said, no, you're not going to do that to me, and he just ran the front bumper of his into the back of the 42. When you constantly do that over and over and over, eventually people will get upset, and they're not going to care what happens to you. So I get it. Kyle Larson can drive as aggressively as he wants, but the people around him don't have to like it, and that's what you're seeing.
There he goes again. He tries that bottom line, slides up the racetrack. No contact this time, but he is on a mission. Kyle Larson trying to get back by that 22. See if he closes the door as they go into one. Stays at the bottom of the racetrack. Joey Logano, here he comes. He slides back up in front of the 22. Look at how sideways that 42 was, and that was on his own. And when he went in front of the 22 of Joey Logano, you mentioned it, Logano wasn't going to stand for it. He kept going, did the crossover move.
Yeah, so right there, look, it's essentially a slide job. I mean, that's essentially what it is. Just drive in the corner. Harlan in the car can stick on corner exit and just slide up in front of the guy, but you got to slow up to make it work. Well, the guy behind you don't want to slow up, then he can get into the back of you.
Here comes Larson trying to take a spot away from Brennan Poole. So Poole, who was running in the 4th position, now loses that to Kyle Larson. Joey Logano trying to make this run work for him a little bit longer. As you see, Brendan Gaughan has made his way back out onto the track. So Brendan Gaughan's trying to grab as many positions as he can with just 6 laps to go. Out in front, Kyle Busch has a 2.5-second lead over Elliott Sadler, who's running 2nd. Daniel Suarez is 3rd. Kyle Larson, the man on the charge, right now running 4th. Brendan Poole just loses 5th to the 22 of Joey Logano.
What a learning experience for Brendan Poole, though. Full season in this 48 car, racing with Kyle Larson and Joey Logano with the intensity turned up. Inside 5 to go. That's what this young man needs to do. He needs to run towards the front of these races. This is what learning is all about, battling with these guys in the closing laps.
Little contact there. Brendan Poole had Regan Smith come up on his inside.
And he almost learned a big lesson right there. Luckily got away with it, but there's a little bit of damage to the right front of the 88.
Under 4 laps to go.
I think every position doesn't matter. All these guys, I know they'd rather be battling for the lead, but this is a battle for 4th place, and look how hard they're racing for that 4th place position.
Here comes the 22. Joey Logano slides up in front of the 42. And already we've seen these two trade a little paint.
Oh, it's principle now between these two. They know they're not racing for the late race win. These are 2 Cup regulars that doesn't look like they've loved how they've raced each other today. Now with 3 to go, who's going to outrun who for bragging?
Bragging rights and pride.
Yeah.
You know, when a guy's pulled up in front of you and made you mad, you're going to race him that much harder. Joey Logano's not going to cut Kyle Larson any slack right here. And Kyle Larson's going to ride and race hard every single lap anyway.
I wonder what the conversation will be like after this race. Well, we have under 3 laps to go to find out. Here comes the 42 again. To the bottom. Does he get a run? Not this time. Two laps to go. Kyle Busch on the right side of the screen has a 3.5-second lead over Elliott Sadler. Right now, Elliott Sadler in the chase, knowing that a good finish will definitely help him on his way to the championship 4. So not pressuring it as Kyle Busch comes by the stripe. 1 lap to go. Sponsored by Credit One Bank. Kyle Busch, the winningest driver in the history of the Xfinity Series. A champion in the Sprint Cup Series. Last year, he's the defending champion, taking advantage of track time and the opportunity to race in the Xfinity Series again. Looking for his 9th win of the 2016 season. Kyle Busch is going to win at Kansas.
Awesome car, you guys. Y'all deserve that one for sure. I'm glad we got it. Come in. Great job. Great job there. Overcome a little adversity. Need a little help on the restart, but it all worked out.
Kyle Busch has won the last 3 races here at Kansas. I mentioned the winningest driver. He continues to add to those numbers. His 85th Xfinity Series win. And remember, he got the free pass on lap 159. All-time wins over Hall of Famer Mark Martin with 49 wins. Kevin Harvick, a champion of the series, 46 wins. Carl Edwards, Brad Keselowski on that list, but Kyle Busch has been dominant. He continues to add to those numbers. Kyle Busch will have his signature bow at the end of the donuts in front of the grandstand. Likes the movie Days of Thunder. That's why Rowdy is on the side of his car. A dominant performance by Kyle Busch today. He led 150 of the 200 laps, but in between the start of that race and the end of that race, there was some great racing for position.
Some really good racing for position, but how about Elliott Sadler and Daniel Suarez? They continue to find a way, no matter what happens during the race, they continue to find a way to get the great finishes. Second place, third place, those are the things that these drivers need to do, put themselves in position to win a race if a Kyle Busch makes a mistake. But you know, these guys are managing this chase better than the others.
He had to play the wind on the flag drop there. The flag man told him, go downwind from me because when I drop it, it's going to blow towards the turn 4 side. And a good catch. When Kyle gets back to the car, there is the bow.
As one Joe Gibbs car celebrates the win and a dominating win, the other Joe Gibbs car, Eric Jones, pulls up next to the 42, hand out the window, a little displeasure. Like, you know, what went on, man? What happened on that restart?
Yeah, and there will be communication between these drivers. And we heard on the radio, Kyle Larson took complete credit, said it was my fault. It was me who caused that accident.
But the problem is that doesn't give Eric Jones any points back.
Right.
And as you say, Jeff, I think there's some expectation by these Xfinity regulars of these Cup guys. Just a little bit. Cut us a little bit of slack. We're over here racing for a championship, but you know that's up to the drivers to decide.
Joey Logano, he has a smile on his face, but he's going over to talk to Kyle Larson. Remember, there was some pretty close racing there between the two of them as they came out of turn 4.
I think as a Cup, if you're a Cup guy, if you're a Cup regular racing the Xfinity Series, you owe the Xfinity drivers some respect. That's my opinion. I raced a lot of Xfinity races, and I did my very best to make sure I didn't make contact with an Xfinity regular. I think that's your duty. It's your responsibility as a Cup driver when you move down into this series. I know you should race hard. You should give 100%, but you have to respect these guys.
I like what I see here, though. Kyle Larson doesn't avoid Eric Jones. He walks down to Eric Jones's car. Not going to avoid the situation. It doesn't get better with time. I think we've learned this. Conversations need to be had. They're not going to agree with it, I'm sure, but I think Kyle Larson's doing the right thing, searching Eric Jones out to have a discussion.
When you make a mistake, you have to own up to it and just go at the guy. That's all you can do at that point. It was a mistake. He didn't do it on purpose.
18 has made it to victory lane again. We'll hear from him when we come back. Welcome back to Kansas Speedway. Let's hear from the winner. We go to Mike Massaro.
And Kyle Busch now getting out of the race car. A dominant day at the Kansas Speedway. He led 150 laps. An incredible run from the start. Started on the pole. Made it look easy most of the day, but it wasn't. Toward the end, you had to make your way through traffic on a late race caution that put you 5th. How are you able to make your way back to the front?
I don't know. There was a lot of things trying to work against us there towards the end, and we just persevered and made it through everything, you know. So this NOS Energy Drink Toyota was awesome today. We had really great speed. You know, I think we showed it all weekend. It was just a matter of being able to put it all together and be able to end up here in victory lane where we deserve to be. We had a fast enough car to do that, and just circumstances kept working against us. But it's cool to be here for these guys, for Chris Gale, for NOS Energy Drink, DBX sunglasses, the fans, XFINITY One app. I use that all the time. I appreciate those guys helping me with that. But all in all, we have a good time with racing these cars, and can't say enough about my guys. I mean, they did an awesome job just preparing a really, really fast car for here this weekend, and wish we could have sealed the deal with this car in Chicago, but things worked against us. They tried again today, but we got it done.
Congratulations on the victory.
Thank you.
Tomorrow, Kyle Busch will look for the Kansas sweep as he looks to do what he did back in the spring, Rick, which was win the Sprint Cup Series race right here at the Kansas Speedway.
And try to make his way into the round of 8 as we see now the chase standings in the Xfinity Series. After this first race, Elliott Sadler, Daniel Suarez, 12 points above the cutoff line, but you know just how important points are. And again, a reminder, all of the post-race interviews will be on NBCSports.com. You can tune in there. Coming up next on NBC, local news, except on the West Coast, college football, Stanford versus Notre Dame. That's 7:30. And then Saturday night, Emily Blunt will host with Bruno Mars at 11:30. Pretty incredible race for Kyle Busch today. Ultimately, the chase drivers, a few of them got into incidents along the way that will cause them to have to fight out of the hole that they are now in. Justin Allgaier, Darrell Wallace Jr., two drivers that experienced problems, as well as Brendan Gaughan, Elliott Sadler, Daniel Suarez. Good runs for them. We'll see you tomorrow for the Cup race. Thanks for watching here on NBC.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.